Happy Thanksgiving weekend to all of you as FS1's coverage of college football rolls on. The eyes of Texas are upon you. TCU and Texas live from Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium. Hello everyone, I am Tim Brando. You know, in 2013, after 2 seasons at Louisville with a record of 22-3, you could argue Charlie Strong was the hottest commodity in college football. Texas thought so. They hired him, although he was never their #1 choice. Well, admirably, he has said that he is no good at 16-20. He has said that's not good enough at Texas. That being said, the events of last week, before a game with Kansas, a game that they had not lost since 1938, his team got a text and tweet telling them that no matter what, they would not be able to save Charlie Strong's job. Social networking has indeed taken over with media manipulation about the goings-on in the coaching carousel. And as I bring my partner Spencer Tillman in, I don't know that we've ever seen anything quite like this from an emotional standpoint. If you're one of those players, how would it affect you?
Well, so you're 18, 19 years of age, and somehow, Tim, all of what you said, you've got to be able to put it behind you. You got to minimize it like you do a program on your computer. The difficult truth, it's still a drag on your system. They've got to put it behind them. Shane Buechele, in particular, the quarterback who had 3 interceptions, he's an outstanding young talent, but he can't have 3 interceptions today. That came last week in a very difficult outing for him against Kansas. Malik Jefferson on the defensive side of the ball, obviously sidelined because of the concussion. He's got to stand up. He was helpless as he sit there and watch his defense unable to respond to Kansas. Those 2 in particular have got to step up today, Tim.
We have been watching in real time media manipulation of the almighty dollar for college coaching. Let's hope today we can get through this game without having to worry about it. On the flip side, Gary Patterson, TCU's head coach, he's got a tough task. An emotional team on the other side, and he's coming off his team's worst outing since he got there 16 years ago.
Yeah, and his quarterback has been benched in twice in a couple of 3 weeks here. And again, Kenny Hill has got to step up, and Gary Patterson knows that he is coming off that worst loss. He sensed there's something wrong, not just on the offensive side, but what he told you and I, he's concerned about the run-stopping ability. Remember, Oklahoma State ranked up 344 yards against them, and he told you and I that stopping the run is paramount for him. They run into another juggernaut, in my opinion, the best running back in the country this week.
The opening kick is coming up, and a little tip from Timmy B. Try, if you might, to watch today's game without an iPhone in your hand. It's the Horns and the Horn Frogs when we come back to the land of Hook'em. The Gallery of Jewelry. With more on the latest with Charlie Strong, our insider and outstanding sideline reporter, Bruce Feldman.
Tim, I'm told that Greg Fenves, the Texas president, still is open to the idea of keeping Charlie Strong on, contrary to reports on Sunday that said they'd already decided to fire him. Now, what you're talking about here is Fenves has great respect for Charlie Strong and his bond with the players. Sources tell me it could get really messy politically. It actually already is. And there could be a potential power play between Fenves and some Texas board members who really don't want Charlie Strong.
As he told us, Bruce, the cake is baked. The outstanding players on this team, 9 of them on the defensive side are sophomores. And he's got a true freshman quarterback. Texas will receive the kick from Cole Bunce, and it's Ja'Cory Warwick bringing it up. He gets up to the 17-yard line before being stopped. And let's get what to watch for when the Texas Longhorns have the football today, Spencer.
Well, tell me, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Texas will establish Deontay Foreman early. He's just a few yards shy away from cracking that 2,000-yard plateau. He's the best running back in the nation, the best, in my opinion, in the conference for sure. Travon Howard will be the guy who leads the Big 12 in tackles, 108 going strong. That's chief role for him is stopping him. Another Dudgeon-Dibbit performance for him that ensures he'll make all conference, in my opinion. That's the challenge ahead.
Jake McMillan is starting, by the way, at center, so Zach Shackelford can't go. They tried to get him healthy this week, but to no avail. And right away, it's D'Onta Foreman right up that A gap, and he gets to the 25-yard line, stopped by Nick Orr, number 18, the junior from DeSoto, Texas.
Well, they're going to get a heavy dose of that. Again, 51 carries in the loss to Kansas. It took him a lot to get it, but he can carry the load. He's proven it. 12 straight games over 100 yards. He's the nation's elite back.
Play fake to him this time, and a quick out to Dorian Leonard. And he has the first down out to the 30-yard line. Anthony Tejada, number 11, took him down. This offense under the guidance of Sterling Gilbert, formerly at Tulsa, the offensive coordinator, has really improved. They were 92nd in the country in offense a year ago at this time. Dante gets it up to the 33-yard line, stopped by Ty Summers, number 42. This year, they are 17th, Spencer, averaging 499 yards per game, and they're getting it done with balance.
Yeah, on this series now, TCU is in a good position. It's now second down in a manageable situation from a defensive standpoint. Texas going to take its time and make sure they diagnose the coverage in the defense. They may even take a shot here against this one with a down to give.
Armonte Foreman, the twin brother, is flanked to the top of your screen. And again, it's a quick out taken in by Warwick. And Jacory with a little room along the sidelines. Gets beyond the 40 to almost the line to make. I think they're going to give it to him. It is first down.
That's Coach Gilbert showing you some nice balance early on, mixing the pass and the run.
Warwick against that soft coverage. He was juggling at that time, so it's incomplete. 2nd and 10. There you see Sterling Gilbert. And talk about a guy that really wants to see a second season with his quarterback. It's this guy.
He really does. He knows he's got a young quarterback, but what he told us yesterday, you cannot rush the process of Shane. He's a young talent, gifted quarterback, but he will pop and get there eventually.
Foreman, maybe a yard, and that's it. Stopped by Ty Summers. I asked Gilbert, I said, you know, being here, having worked in the Baylor system and then on at Tulsa with Coach Montgomery, what have you noticed about coaching at this level, particularly young players? And he said, you can't hit a fast forward button. They are what they are, and they evolve in this game. And we've got a whistle pre-snap. Looks like a false start is forthcoming.
False start. Offense. Number 3 was never set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's Armonte Foreman, the guilty party. Mike DeFee is our referee today. Our replay official is Don Caprell, assisted by D. Anderson of the Big 12. 3rd down and 14 coming up.
And Tim, to continue that thought about the progression from the coordinator standpoint, it's to allow him to mature what he's comfortable with. Give him the plays that accentuates his skill set. That's the offensive coordinator's challenge, especially with a young quarterback.
Ooh, nice little delay action to Foreman, but it did not fool Ty Summers. That sophomore from San Antonio has been outstanding all season long. He did not get fooled here.
Ty really stayed home again and watched that lag draw action, and he got his nose in there and played it with leverage. Again, just enough to trip up an outstanding back who, if you give him a couple of inches, he will take it to the house on you.
Desmond White is awaiting the punt from Michael Dixon. He waves everyone off. Punt was a little short and out of bounds. They will mark it at the 25-yard line. So a 36-yard boot. Now this TCU Horned Frog offense struggled a week ago. We had a chance to see them. What do we watch for this time around, Spence?
This is pretty straightforward. Kyle Hicks, he's their best player right now, needs to get back on track. His inconsistency, Tim, has reduced the most gifted coordinator tandem in the nation to mitigating risk. They can't do that in the Big 12. You got to have him operative. Hicks is still the Horned Frogs' leading rusher with 8, 36, 14 TDs, 12 rushing, 2 receiving. He's a talent they've got to rely on very heavily, and I think he can get it done.
Stretch play to Hicks. He's out past the 30-yard line. TCU seeking their 14th bowl appearance in 16 years under Gary Patterson. Since 2009, they have the nation's 5th best road record, 32-2. That's a 76% clip.
This crazy bunch formation right here.
Beautifully done to Cole Hunt, and the tight end rumbles up to the 47-yard line for a first down.
Just the polar opposite of what they did last week when they got in the 4 wide. It was actually a design run for Hill to get him comfortable. They actually threw out of that formation now. Nice changeup.
Doug Meacham is on the field. Yeah, one of the co-offensive coordinators, the former Texas Tech air raid quarterback Sonny Cumbie, is upstairs for Gary Patterson's team.
A lot of time.
Hill, the Texas A&M transfer, gets it out to Hunt again, up to the 50-yard line. Accuracy or lack thereof has been the issue. but he has gotten it done with his legs of late.
Yeah, P.J. Locke, nice stop there out of that nickel position, coming up and forcing. If he has to do a lot of the heavy lifting, it's going to be a challenge.
Hill with time again. Hicks has it. Coming out of the backfield, and he's down to the 36 of the Horns, a 14-yard gain. Jason Hall, the sophomore, number 31, making the stop. There's Doug Meacham. I chatted with pregame down on the field, and he said that this is a team that's not completely healthy coming in. Hill has been hit with the bugaboo of injuries. He missed a day of practice. Taj Williams, the leading receiver for the team, makes that catch and is stopped at the 31 by Chris Boyd. There is a chance that Foster Sawyer could see some playing time if things don't go well for Hill today. And you can imagine what that means for Kenny Hill. He wants to light it up early. There's Foster, sophomore from Fort Worth.
Yeah, Hill did miss one day of practice this week. And again, not to misconstrue, if he's not in the lineup, it may not necessarily be because of performance. Again, it's just lack of reps, having missed a day of practice this week.
Yes, they don't have Cavante Turpin either, who got injured in that game last week, and he's their speed merchant. On the slant, it's Williams, and Taj again burns Texas with a little loose coverage.
Yeah, Chris Boyd was in his hip pocket, but that was a laser shot thrown in for the completion.
14 yards, 16 yards, and now timeout taken by Texas as the Horned Frogs.
Texas takes its first time out of the half.
Moving along quickly with fast pace, and they needed the blow. 5 for 5 for 52 yards for Kenny Hill early. Spencer, let's get a look at the forward keys to the game today.
Well, Timmy, TCU is looking for the same three things that they have lacked all season long: consistency at quarterback, receiver, and then that mental toughness. Hard to find out any of that with such a young team, but bowl eligibility and sheer pride is at stake if they don't get it today. They've got to have it. And then for Texas quarterback Shane Buechele, we talked about it, needs to bounce back. A clean, interception-free afternoon is absolutely key for him. D'Onta Foreman has also got to be able to step up and help him as well.
They have it first down after a 5 for 5 start for Kenny Hill at the 17-yard line of Texas. Their opening drive of the afternoon. Texas was shut down after one first down in their opening series. Again, over the middle is soft, right in the middle between the hashes, Spencer. Jalen Austin, number 15, grabs that one. That's 13 yards. Middle of the field has been wide open for them on this series.
Yeah, Texas playing a single high safety in a deep zone, and they actually got two guys back now against a three-man front. It's impressive.
Look at this. Look at that. That was easy. Untouched. Hill taking it in, and it's 6-0 TCU.
You talk about the opportunity. You see the offset play here. Short-sighted Texas was to the right of that formation. Just didn't have enough bodies over there to stop that easy walk-in from outside. But for Kenny, it was the accuracy on the previous play that kind of got Texas on its heels, a little bit discombobulated, not able to bounce back.
8th rushing touchdown for him this season. Hatfield with the extra point. That is, however, his first rushing touchdown in 5 games. Maybe Kenny got the memo. You better be hot early from Doug Meacham. So far, so good here in Austin. Kenny Hill on that drive, 6 of 6 for 65 yards and the one rushing touchdown of 6 yards. Cole Hunt, the TCU tight end, only had 3 catches all year, and he was used twice, targeted 2 times for 19 yards of that drive. Ja'Cory Warwick dropping back deep.
Ja'Cory had a nice week last week against Kansas in that losing effort. Pretty impressive. 3 catches for 82 yards and then had a 75-yard TD. First play from scrimmage. Very impressive early on. They need a big play from him right now.
And Jose boots it, and Warwick backtracks and takes a knee. Well, week after week for D'Onta Foreman, who's setting all kinds of records. Look at that. Against Notre Dame, against Cal in a defeat, against Oklahoma. A bad game was 124, and then look at that one against Texas Tech. You and I had the pleasure of seeing it, and even in defeat against Kansas, 250 yards for this young guy. It's amazing to think that he has the chance to pass some of the all-time greats and become only the 3rd Longhorn in school history to go over 2,000 yards.
Well, he's well over 1,800 yards now, and I think the most impressive thing about him, Tim, is his consistency. That's the greatest ability any player can have, is that predictable element, and he has been for 12 consecutive games.
He has 261 to get coming in today to pass Ricky Williams. 137 to get to 2,000. And here he goes. Nice shoestring tackle made defensively by Nico Small, number 2, coming up from free safety.
Timmy, I lobbied that we get the tearaway jerseys and put them in there, give him a shot to get it. That's a shoestring tackle, but let me tell you, you need shoestrings. You need anything you can grab against this guy, because he's got the big classic big guy body, little guy feet. He can actually outrun you on the big end if you don't bring him down.
He only got one that time. It's 2nd down and 9. Andrew Beck, number 47, has come in at one tight end. Caleb Blewett is the other. Over in that slot. And on the read, Bouchel lets it fly, and it's caught by Dorian Leonard again. His 2nd grab of the day, right in front of the freshman Jeff Gladney, playing for the injured Julius Lewis.
Well, that's a big NFL caliber throw across the field, and I'm telling you, there's nobody over there to protect you, Timmy. You better be accurate, and your ball better be out of your arm, because it's got to travel a long way. The young freshman showing you he's got what it takes to perform at the high level.
Oklahoma State picked on him a bit last week, but he weathered the storm pretty well. They do miss Julius Lewis, though. He did not make the trip, along with Turpin on the offensive side. 3rd down, a yard to go. Strong to the boundary side. And it's Foreman right past the H-back, moving ahead for the 1st down to the 37-yard line, and it's Ty Summers again making the stop. We've called his name 5 times already today.
Yeah, they're moving the chains versus that classic front with Aaron Curry and company, a defensive tackle. The traditional 4-man front that you're going to see from Gary Patterson ran it right in the teeth and got the yardage needed for the first.
Foreman beyond the 40 to the 41-yard line. Summers again making the tackle.
Yeah, you're going to see number 42 quite active. Ty Summers working with that brace on the back of his collar there. He's not afraid to stick his nose in there. He's going to be matched up against Foreman all day.
Bouchel looking deep.
Open. Nice concentration.
It is caught. It's Duvernay. Beautiful catch in stride. The freshman makes the grab.
You talk about speed against press coverage. Does a nice job of getting past him. That's just flat-out athleticism and the willingness and timing to lay it out there. Credit the quarterback for the deep ball with accuracy and then the speed to pay it off on the back end.
Devin Duvernay with the big grab. Foreman burrows inside the 10. 48 yards on that strike to Duvernay. They've got a lot of options at wide receiver, and again, such talent that's so young. Freshmen, sophomores dotting this roster on both sides. Part of the cake being baked for future success in Charlie Strong's mind.
You're right, they've got a ton. And again, Armani Foreman has kind of been down in recent weeks, but Colin Johnson, Jake Bark and company, they've got a lot of skill position players that can perform.
2nd and 8. Foreman again can get the 1st down without benefit of the touchdown. Summers again polishing off that tackle at the 5, just inside the 5-yard line. 3rd down 4 from the 5.
Well, I tell you, the quick slant really looks wide open. As long as TCU is going to stay with those 3 linebackers and 4 down, now they're pulling that hand up to get one guy in coverage. They better get it, because there's a slant route off the numbers right now.
Dorian Leonard is in that slot. You see a lot of cushion there for number 8. To the bottom of your screen.
With a miscommunication.
Yeah.
That was a busted play by the back.
He went one way. The handoff was going the other. Nick Orr makes the stop.
And if I'm reading my keys, I'm looking to say, hey, the linebacker to that side, wait a minute, the back's going the opposite direction, screws everything up. The quarterback is confused, and then it's a busted play, squanders an opportunity.
Hey, it happens. Ask Darius Geis.
Yeah.
Happened at a key point in the game between Florida and LSU last week. Trent Domingue, speaking of LSU, the transfer from Bayou Country, has had a rough go of it here. Will try from 21 yards. Out of the hold of Trey Holtz, son of Skip, grandson of Lou Holtz. He puts it through, And the Longhorns are on the board. They answer the touchdown drive where Kenny Hill was perfect in the air. Plenty of time remaining, enjoying the holidays. Scoring position. Mitchell Becker will handle the kickoff chores here for the Horns. Deontay Gray is back deep. Now this is where they miss Turpin. This guy has speed, but it's straight ahead speed. Oh, it's really good straight ahead speed too. Real good straight ahead speed. All the way down to the 40-yard line. A 57-yard return by Devontae Davis.
Number 9, if he's not in the back here, this ball hits his head on the goalpost. A nice move to move the kicker out of the way. And again, the top end speed, trying to put Davis in his back pocket. Can it get away from him? Again, you can see him seek this ball. The patience to make sure everybody commits and that funnel closes down. And then if you can get him to do that, you can just pierce him. There's not a whole lot to stop you on the big end. Boy, speed is dangerous.
Devontae Davis saved a touchdown. Deontay Gray answered the call. Well, we told you it was straight ahead speed, and that's exactly where he took it. 57 yards. Kyle Turpin is exemplary at both kick and punt returns, but they said they'd miss him more there. And that pass is blocked. Great defensive work by Nashawn Hughes, number 40, the junior Fox linebacker for Texas.
A lot of ways you can affect the quarterback. If you can't get to him, Hughes gets those hands up right there. Tremendous timing. What a presence. Those long arms to block that one bound. And of course, Hill didn't have anywhere to go with that one.
That's the first incompletion, and it's because of a blocked pass by Nashawn Hughes. Hicks is wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage.
Puna Ford, number 95, the defensive tackle, did a nice job of shutting that play down. Boy, the run fits for Texas are absolutely outstanding. Everyone reaching one, staying in their gaps, assignment conscious to keep this TCU offense limited on the ground.
3rd down and 10. Hicks is the lone setback.
Pressure
from the middle. And he lost it deep for Taj Williams, incomplete. Chris Boyd, step for step, the sophomore from Gilmer, Texas. And let's quickly now get you to Los Angeles and Greg Wolf for this LGV 20 game break.
Tim, thanks. Rumors swirling around Tom Herman's future. Number 20, Houston trying to complete a 17-point comeback. Riley Ferguson to Anthony Miller. 10-yard touchdown with just 19 seconds left. And Memphis pulls off the upset. 48-44. Tim, Spencer, back to you.
Well, we'll see if the hottest commodity remains as warm in the aftermath of that. Adam Nunez will punt it away. Ja'Cory Warwick is back deep with a fair catch being called for inside the 10 at the 8-yard line. A very effective punt. 32 yards the boot. When we come back, Deontay Foreman goes to work. He's got a future beyond here, but he could be back next year. Then again,
maybe not.
Looking good is more important than looking where you're going.
When are you going to do that, Ray?
Is there an event on?
Grand touring.
Oh, man! Oh, that's to release it, you muppet!
We've only had one minor fire.
Go with me now!
TCU leads it by a score of 7-3. There you see some of the support that Charlie Strong has. It is the proverbial elephant in the room, and the room is quite large here at Darrell K. Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas, and it goes well beyond here, a little further to the east in the I-10 corridor in Baton Rouge and beyond. And if you missed it just moments ago, we got the update from Greg Wolf. Memphis obviously got the memo and responded with a big win today against Houston.
And Tim, it begs comparison. What was similar with that upset lost today by the U of H and what happened to Charlie Strong a week ago? Hopefully we can unpack that.
Foreman bounces off one runs through another, and is just shy of the first down.
Nick Orr was there on the stop, and it's a great job that he came down out of that safety position to minimize the damage on that play because there was not a lot behind him to help out.
And with the carry that precedes this one, Foreman adds to his numbers, and he just passed Ricky Williams to become second all-time in single-season rushing here at Texas. 1,900 and counting.
That's some high cotton right there in a relatively short period of time, brother.
Buechele. A little indecision that time from the freshman from Arlington.
You know, when they look back at that play on tape and Gilbert looks at it, he's going to try to find out whether or not his eyes were remaining downfield. And when you bring your eyes down to navigate the close term, you're not looking at what the coverage is on the back end. So it affects your courage and your sense of field vision whether or not to throw that pass.
2nd and 10 as he did get back to the line of scrimmage. They go empty. 5 wides. Buechele felt the backside pressure, got away from it, and is now sacked back at the 19-yard line by Summers. It was an all-out blitz coming from just about every corridor. Traven Howard was the first to get there, and you could see that it really discombobulated the play.
Yeah, he missed Howard initially, made him miss, but then stepped right back into the pressure with Summers coming back waiting for him. A nice athletic job of making the first guy miss, but you got to have the instinctiveness to know that there are going to be bodies where you just vacated. That'll come with time.
3rd down and 14. Horned Frogs have at least 1 sack in a school record 40 straight games. Only Clemson with 41 has a longer active streak. And that made their 41st, so they've now joined Clemson with that number as the Tigers await their next game. As Buechele is just a couple of yards shy of the first down on that call play. Summers makes the stop. Yes. And it'll be a punt formation coming up.
Yeah, Summers was there, and then Traven Howard at the Sam position was working to help him out on that play. But again, you can see the instinctiveness as Buechele narrowed in on that first down yard marker. He put his nose down to try to go get it, just came up a little bit short.
Dixon to boot it away. Desmond White. Oh, that ball was up in the air. One of his own ran into him. That was going to be a live ball situation as his up blocker ran into him. Vernon Scott, 26. They were very fortunate that that ball ricocheted as quickly and as widely as it did after the 40-yard boot.
Yeah, it certainly did touch him. It's like Keystone Cops, and you can see, I think that ball did clip him on the right heel then. That's a live ball, but
yes,
as you said, it ricocheted out of there in a hurry. It's a nice turn of events for TCU.
They'll set up shop at the 29-yard line. 1st and 10. Latter stages of the first quarter. Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, Bruce Feldman. Happy to have you with us in Austin. Kenny Hill on the read, and it was the proper one. Ahead for about 8, maybe 9 yards on first down. Forward progress is being given at the 38-yard line. He'll be a yard shy of a first down.
Tim, you're right. That was the excellent read. They had trips to the boundary, the short side of the field, and he pulled that ball and ran it, which was his read.
Yeah, it's going to be a flag. Emmanuel Porter, the intended receiver. John Bonney had him wrapped up and will be guilty of the penalty here, interference.
Yeah, Bonney is the boundary guy. That means the short side of the field. That's his specialty. Usually when you see a guy in that position.
Pass interference, defense, number 24. That's a spot foul, automatic, first down.
Typically they lack the athleticism to play to the field. That's why he's on the narrow side of the field, so there's less margin for error, and they tend to grab and hold on a little bit more because they're not as gifted as athletically as a field corner who's being asked to cover a wide space. So you'll see him grab. They may attack that spot a lot today.
From the 44, first down for TCU. It's hit. Couple of yards and then push back. Anthony Wheeler, 45. Sophomore that has played so well for them. He did miss the Texas Tech game, lost his grandpa right before that game and was unable to make the trip. Another one of the youngsters on this team, so good. Flag in the backfield as Kenny Hill takes off. He'll slide down and get some help at the 23-yard line, but the marker thrown in an area where one would suspect holding.
I mean, there was a well-designed play in terms of where the release comes from for the quarterback.
Holding. Offense, number 69. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay second down.
Gary Patterson is going to be frustrated again. You can see the release. The numbers are coming back here. You can see the holding penalty right to the face. That may have been part of it, but again, that inside hand, the left, does a nice job of getting on the face.
I'd say that's
Collins
Hager did it.
Bricker Hager there on the outside who he was holding.
Yeah, Aviante Collins did it. And Hager's a guy you probably ought to hold, right?
Yeah, he's athletic, man. He can do some damage at that Fox position.
That negated a 31-yard run from Hill. Hicks, the safety valve. That play was botched from the beginning. Outstanding defensive work by the Horns in snuffing that one out. Malcolm Roach, 32. Another freshman, Madison Prep and Baton Rouge, making the tackle.
And Malik Jefferson, his speed was also evident on that last play, coming up to make sure they had a numbers advantage on that. That's what they missed against Kansas. The bodies everywhere. Tremendous coverage by this Texas stop unit.
It's not a full house, but it's an emotional one here in Austin. Lots at stake. Bowl eligibility. The future of a lot of young players. And a head coach that's seen 3 years and only 16 wins against 20 losses. They're celebrating the 100th birthday of Bevo. Not that Bevo. Bevo 15 is just 21 months old, okay? Right. But it's Bevo 15, part of the history and tradition of college football here in Austin, Texas. And I think we've got a really outstanding game. You can tell there's a lot on the line for these teams.
Well, like Bevo, this defense of Texas looks like they're flying around. They're lighter. They're more active. By the way, this Bevo is about 800 pounds lighter than his predecessor.
By the way, I understand hay bales are actually dietetic. On 3rd and 22 as we open the second quarter, Hill is under pressure. Plenty of it. Finally spun down with markers flying. Malik Jefferson got there.
Boy, he is a beast, and I hope that they don't get him for that right hand as he came down, and it would negate an unbelievable physical effort to get to the quarterback.
Well, it looks like it's going to be initially.
The ruling on the field as the ball was fumbled, it went out of bounds. During the run, holding, offense number 69. The penalties declined, 4th down.
Yeah, that was the preliminary indication, holding.
You can see the reason why. Again, all of the active players. You can see 46 in his Hicks pocket there. That's Malik Jefferson showing you his side-to-sideline speed to get to the quarterback. I'm telling you, he's a force, not just in this stop unit, but when he was absent against Kansas, they missed his spirit. More importantly, they missed his presence.
Well, despite the loss last week to Kansas, the Horns defense has stepped up in the last 6 since Charlie took over the play calling duties. 14 forced turnovers, 23 sacks, 51 tackles for loss coming into today's game in those 6 games. Well, let's get a game break quickly. Back in Los Angeles, Greg Wolf, what's going on with the Apple Cup?
Oh, we got a lot happening on the Huskies side of things, Tim. 109th meeting between these two. Winner goes to the Pac-12 championship game next Friday night on Fox. Jake Browning airs it out. Dante Pettis, 61-yard touchdown. Second for Pettis. Huskies lead 21-3 first quarter. Tim, Spencer, back to you.
All right, after a 30-yard punt here, Texas with quality field position at their own 44-yard line.
You got Kyle Porter in the game at back. Let's see what Coach Gilbert has in store here.
Freshman from Katy, Texas. And they go with a quick cross to tight end Beck. Andrew Beck, the junior from Tampa, with the first down. Stopped by Denzel Johnson.
Yeah, Denzel was sitting there in that slot. Oh, that's a mismatch there. Again, a smaller guy giving up about 20 pounds.
19 yards as Porter is upended inside the 35 at the 34 by Summers again. Well, against Oklahoma State, Ty had 14 tackles, 3 solo. Had a string of 5 double-figure tackle games earlier this season. He's been all over the place today for Gary Patterson's defense.
Well, they needed him last week against Oklahoma State, who rang up 344 yards rushing. And again, it looks like Texas is vying for similar numbers. Safety blitz.
They roll away from it and look long in the corner. Incomplete, intended for Duvernay. Pass was a little underthrown, which has been an issue for Buechele at times this year.
Yeah, but Nico Small made up for it, though. He came back and had to become a blocker for that play. Nice job of, he didn't locate the ball, did Small, but an unbelievable body position, not enough contact to draw a penalty on that play. That's pretty good defense.
Fans respond, I think, so many times. I think face guarding is illegal in the college game. It is not. 3rd down and 6 coming up. Beck, the tight end that had that catch a moment ago, stays in the game. And here's Porter. Stopped just outside the 30-yard line by Orr, number 18.
This is not quite a run-pass conflict scenario for TCU, but when it's 3rd down or 4th down and short, or 3rd down and short.
Well, it's 4th, and the thing you got to remember here is the kicking game they've struggled with. So they're going to go for it many times from this spot on the field. 4th and 3. Domingue has had a very difficult season. Accuracy and length have both been the problem. And you see the 4th down conversion numbers for Texas. The kicking game has forced their hand to some extent. And on the quick slant, a little alligator arm action from Dorian Leonard. They had no chance of that one going for a 1st down.
Yeah, Leonard has got to sell out. When he comes in that slant route, you better know somebody's inside waiting for you. You got to take those high heels off, Timmy. Tip across there with some intentionality.
TCU takes over on downs. This one had no chance. No chance at all.
Or something. Or something? You don't just graduate from medical school or something. And we don't just pull smoked chicken, bake fresh focaccia, and hand-sliced avocado. There's nothing or something about it.
TCU leads at 7-3. Let's go down to Bruce Feldman with more on Malik Jefferson, who had such a fantastic play moments ago when he was out there to stop a drive.
That's right, Tim. He's had a really up and down year. At one point in midseason, Charlie Strong benched him. Then Malik came on, had huge games against Baylor and then Texas Tech. Then he had a concussion. He's against West Virginia, was sat down last week. Charlie Strong told us he has the kind of energy that can take a lot of guys on the team with him and really be an example. And we saw that. He gave a real jolt of energy to this sideline when he chased down Kenny Hill just like he did.
From Mesquite, Texas, with attitude. And it's Kyle Hicks trying the right side. Ahead for 6, maybe more. Anthony Wheeler collaborating with Nashawn Hughes, number 40, on the tackle.
And to continue that thought that Bruce just had there, when we talked to Malik, and Hughes is obviously his battery mate down there, you saw some of the passion that he comes to play with. Preseason Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, had some ups and downs, but he's really come on strong of late.
Forward progress stopped after a 5-yard gain, and now Hill flushed from the pocket. Markers fly again. And Jefferson in hot pursuit. He'll come up near the line to make, probably a yard or 2 short, but we've got the marker to check in the backfield for TCU.
I think Aviante Collins, number 69, that right tackle, is probably going to get called for this one.
Well, that would be his 3rd.
Yep.
Our referee, Mike Defee.
Holding. Offense. Number 68. 10-yard penalty. Replay 2nd down.
No, they got Noteboom instead.
Noteboom,
the left tackle, the junior.
You know, when Gary Patterson knows he's got a bunch of athletic guys on the edge, you're going to challenge your tackles. Typically, they're going to be the most athletic players on that line. They've got to hold it a long time against some of the top athletes in the nation here on this Texas stop unit.
This marks Patterson's 201st game as TCU's head coach, tying him with Dutch Meyer from 1934 to 52 for the most in school history. Under pressure, Hill unloads it, intended for Jarrison Stewart, number 14, and it's incomplete. 3rd and 15 coming up.
I think it was Punter Ford and company again over that nose tackle position, pushing you back. The good thing about it, if you're Texas, you got that kind of pressure with just 3, 8 dropping back in coverage, confusing the quarterback. This is exactly what Glenn Spencer did effectively against TCU of Oklahoma State a couple weeks ago.
Hill dumps it for Hicks, and he got ahead of himself there. Didn't bring it in.
Well, Hicks has got to catch that. He's tied for the lead in receptions on this team, and he leads them in rushing yardage. He's a legitimate dual threat. He's out there alone, has managed to put Malik Jefferson in his hip pocket in a man route.
Spencer, we got to pay it off. We saw a lot of that last week against Oklahoma State.
The receivers as well.
Yeah, a lot of drops that Hill had to endure. After a 6-for-6 start in that opening drive, they really cooled off. Nunez's punt is a fair catch called for by Ja'Cory Warwick. 38 yards the boot. Such a beautiful town. 6th Street is always worth visiting. Wow. The land of the Longhorn. Bring your family for the holidays. I know I did, and we've enjoyed it. And here's what they're playing for. Those two having some time to prepare for this matchup. And Spencer, you played in a few Bedlams. You know what this means, and you add the championship at stake. And it is huge in Norman next week.
There's not going to be a more compelling game on television as far as I'm concerned regarding the stakes.
Deontay Foreman with a huge run on 1st down. Gets it out to around midfield.
Short side of the field. Watch you see him. He's going to keep that ball on the inside, which is atypical for him. He had a turnover last week, and again, that's how it happens when you got the ball on the inside when you're trying to run upfield.
Foreman again, this time using his speed to get to the edge. Now you're seeing all of it. The inside, the outside, the speed, and the power. Denzel Johnson takes it out of bounds. That's 13 yards.
And Denzel is a very athletic defensive back. When he gets on that edge, you can see him go left to right. I'm telling you, they're using the total width of the field here to get down the field on TCU.
Well, he's got 68 yards now, so he's moving in on the 137 to get him to 2,000 in his career, to become the 3rd Longhorn to produce that in a career. And it takes 261 to get him to the all-time record. Stopped for no gain that time by Matt Bosa, number 9, the junior transfer from Torrance, California. Played at Long Beach Community College, making the stop.
Matt got his nose in there. Again, he had some help inside. That's just a great job of staying home, working against this front, being assignment conscious.
Actually lost yardage, 2nd and 12.
Well, Texas taking his time, but here's the numbers matchup here. You got 3 to defend 2 receivers here. You run away from the numbers.
He runs straight up the middle with the best player on the field. And he stumbled, or he might have scored, and he knows it. Caraway makes the stop, but he really stumbled.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. Again, a starboard charge, a right side charge for TCU, and then Texas was able to run away from the teeth of the defense.
You're going to see a steady diet of that. Ahead for 3 more. Traven Howard making the tackle.
You know, college football is great because it's not that complicated. You run away from the numbers. There are times when you can come to the field, even as a freshman, and look at a quarter of the field and know instantly where your numbers advantage is, and you just run away from the 3. Similar look here.
So again, up to the top, into the boundary is your play, right?
You've got a simple play here if you can beat him versus press coverage, but this guy's the one that's scary.
There it is. To that side of the field. They want a flag for Amani Foreman. They're not going to get it.
Well, nice job of putting your analyst hat on, because that's exactly where you want to throw it to.
I'm just listening to you, pal. Outstanding defensive work.
An eligible man downfield. Number 58 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Replay 2nd down.
Well, I know you watch a lot of football, Tim, so again, usually you're right on these calls, and again, it's not that complicated, but when people are flying at you trying to stop you, it's an issue. Again, the read and the mesh, kind of tough to see it there, but
That's the point of emphasis. They got Brandon Hodges, 58. Anthony Tejada, by the way, was the defender that was all over Amadi Foreman. He was hoping for a flag that he didn't get. This backs him up. 2nd and 12. Buechele again. This time just threw it low. I think needed to get rid of it in the direction of Foreman, but that play had no chance, and he decided to live to fight another day.
Yeah, Trayvon Howard, the Sam linebacker, was screaming off the backside, putting heat on him, and he had to get rid of that in a hurry. And Coach Gilbert going to try to find another opportunity here in this soft back end for TCU. Playing 2-deep concept. You can like to throw the middle of the field as the open part versus cover 2. This is where you want to exploit this. Let's see if they have confidence enough in a downfield receiver or the back out of the backfield.
This is their 6th attempt on 3rd down. They're 1 for 5 so far. Buechele on the read, decided to keep it, and Trayvon Howard had nowhere else to go but to the quarterback to make the play, and he's had a big defensive series here. First TCU player with 100+ tackles in consecutive seasons since Martin Patterson in the early 2000s. And you go back and look at the job that has been done by Gary Patterson, both as an assistant in his earlier years behind Dennis Franchione and then as a head coach. They have set a standard for defense in many leagues, including this one.
Howard's been leading it. 8 tackles, 4 solos against State.
And you see the problems in the kicking game. Domain from 38 yards, and it's wide right. Not really close. Really difficult for the young man, and forces the hand of coaches to go for it more often than not. (7-3) our score. TCU with the lead. Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, Bruce Feldman here at Darrell K. Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. Hope you've enjoyed your Thanksgiving. Been a really difficult year on Trent Domingue. This youngsters missed a lot of PATs. Last week against Kansas, his only attempt, a 31-yarder, was missed. LSU didn't renew his scholarship, even though he was a 2015 Lou Groza semifinalist. It's a mental game, particularly at that position. But they know now that they've got to just play their way through that problem the rest of today. And if there is to be a bowl season, they're going to have to score touchdowns. That's Freeman, 35, making the play on Hicks behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Brecken Hecker, though, is the one that shut it down. You can see him nosing through, just finding a little nice sliver to get in there and make a negative play. Outstanding job by number 44. He's got a great relationship with his head coach. That's one of the reasons why he delivers on Saturdays and Fridays.
Hill on the check down goes to Hicks. And he is wrapped up immediately by Chris Boyd, the sophomore from Gilmer, Texas.
Boyd with a nice sure tackle, and that's something that's going to define this as they try to get in more wide open type formations and force man coverage. It becomes preeminent that these corners tackle in space with integrity.
3rd down and 9. They're 0 for 3 on 3rd down conversions. Really, Texas's defense has shut them down since the opening series. Hill under pressure and brought down. Sacked by Paul Boyette, the senior who was in tears on Monday morning at Charlie Strong's presser, thinking that his coach had already been fired.
Yep, from Humble, Texas. You can see him working here on the games and the deals on the outside, and he comes free on that one and just does a little Texas two-step and a spin-about for the takedown. Outstanding job from the kid from Humble, Texas.
So Nunez will have to punt it away again, this time near his end zone. And Ja'Cory Warwick again is deep. Very dangerous in this situation. Fair catch is called for at his own 42-yard line. Senior day, youngster from Humble in tears. If you ask this young man, he would tell you at this point in time, it's more than just W's and L's. It's about vision.
At Outback, Steak and Unlimited Shrimp is back. Just $15.99 for a limited time. Try unlimited garlic herb butter or crispy shrimp for just $15.99. And hurry in for a free $10 bonus card with every $50 gift card at Outback.
FS1 college football sponsored by Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry. Defensive battle here in the opening half. You see the total yards in the game. Been some big plays, but not many great drives. The best of the day, the opening drive for TCU of 65 yards, leading to a touchdown with Hill going 6 for 6. But little else accomplished for the Horned Frogs since. This guy's getting his numbers. Deontay Foreman totes it again. Ahead for a couple of yards. Gets out maybe to the 46-47, so call it a gain of 4.
Well, you know Gary Patterson is always going to make it a priority to limit the run game. That's number one for him as a defensive-minded guy.
On 2nd and a long 6, that pass is caught. It's Colin Johnson. And the young man that has evolved into a real go-to guy, freshman from San Jose, California, and friend of Shane Buechele, makes a big play in space.
Gladney there on the back end trying to make an opportunity to create one for himself. Doesn't focus on the integrity of the tackle.
23-yard pickup there, and Foreman answers by burrowing inside the 30 down to the 28-yard line. Gain of 2, 2nd down and 8.
Timmy, when you've got a guy in your gun sights between yourself and the sideline, you must put your head in front of him.
Buechele looking for and finding Duvernay again. Inside the 20 to the 17-yard line.
Well, Ty Summers was working again from his linebacker position, but that means middle of the field. He has to come back and provide coverage with 2 corners out there. That's a mismatch.
Oh, they go wide receiver screen, Duvernay again, and in space, he gets away. Well, they thought they had him wrapped up, and they didn't. Devin just stayed with it.
You know, people think you're crazy when you start talking about tackling in space and being able to do it with integrity. You must.
Denzel Johnson thought he had him wrapped up, but he slipped away. 14 yards. Foreman bangs it right into the middle, and TCU knew what was coming that time.
Yeah, Trayvon Howard, number 32, working that Sam position, came in there with intention to limit the damage on that play, and they needed it in a big way.
He and James McFarland, senior defensive end from West Monroe. 2nd down and goal.
Well, that edge in the option game up top looks really inviting.
You're right.
The numbers game here, the reach.
Yep.
Come around to the outside. It's there for the taking.
Foreman right up the gut. This time about a yard shy of pay dirt. James McFarland, the aforementioned senior from West Monroe High School in nearby Louisiana, down I-20. 20 carries, 94 yards. Nothing doing this time. They smelled what the Longhorns were about, going with Deontay Foreman, and Nick Orr undercut that play.
Yep, he sure did.
And particularly now with the kicking woes, you got to go for it here, don't you?
Yeah, you got to go for it, but you also have to be able to be smart. You see number 18 coming off the edge of that corner. That's Nick Orr. That's the guy you would option off of on the outside. The numbers game working your advantage. If you're Charlie Strong, you're telling your offensive coordinator, as a defensive guy, we have not blocked him. Let's deal it off the edge.
Huge play. 4th down and 1. It's Foreman. It's no signal. Not yet. Nico Small was there, and it appears that the Longhorns have been denied again.
And that's tough luck for them, because when you look at this stop unit, you got Aaron Curry, James McFarland and company. They're stout inside.
Well, we may get a review on this one. We may get a review here. Gary Patterson's ready to get on with things. But my guess is
The rule on the field is that the runner was short of the goal line. The ball goes over on down.
Wow. I got to tell you, I was ready to call it a touchdown, but until I saw the signal, I wasn't going to give it to him. But you take a look.
Well, there's a lot of bodies underneath him, so he wasn't down, but the whistle. Yeah, you're not going to be able to tell there.
Let's see, if there's no whistle, that's touchdown. Watch from this angle right here, Spencer. Unless there's a whistle, this last lunge is touchdown.
At the nose of the ball, that's going to be a touchdown.
Yep, that should be touchdown. Unless there's a whistle that we did not hear.
And again, plenty of bodies underneath him. That's a touchdown, Timmy.
Again, remember, the ruling on the field is stopped short of the end zone. Don Cabral is our replay official. He and Dee Anderson with the task at hand here. TCU was certainly ready for the play, did a marvelous job of stuffing it, but Foreman, with the extra effort and with a body underneath him, extended the football, the nose of the ball, beyond the line, and it should be a touchdown.
Tim,
right there.
The narrative in the recent weeks has been we've not had a definitive angle, but again, that second angle from the opposite side shows you where his ball and nose of that ball is clearly
and there
over
are
the
clearly
line.
Horned Frogs underneath him.
Yep.
His legs and his knee are not on the ground.
I'm looking to hear whether or not there was a whistle as part of this explanation.
That's the only.
That's the key
to me. That's the only definitive aspect of the call being made to deny him the end zone that I could understand.
And that has to be part of the explanation, because the eyeball says that the nose of the ball was over the line.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands short of the goal line.
See, I'm sorry. Under any circumstances, that can't be right. That simply cannot be right. We don't care who wins. I'm not going to call it a touchdown until I'm told it's a touchdown. But we're looking at replay. If you're not telling me the whistle didn't blow, how can that not be a touchdown? No way. No how.
Well, it would help if that were a part of the explanation again.
Yeah, we could have used that. And by the way, I believe Mike Pereira would recommend that too.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really the difference. Is explain it for us so that we can be made to understand, and the viewers at home can as well. Well, this crowd's going to be juiced after that stand. We'll see what the Texas defense can come up with. Kyle Hicks is in the backfield. Kenny Hill remains the quarterback in the shotgun, and he is in his end zone. Quick slant, and it's Daniel Walsh, 83, making the grab. He's been getting a lot of time in that position where Ty Slanina was once located.
Well, Walsh just plucked that one out of the air. That was just an unbelievable catch to get him out of trouble.
Out to the 15-yard line, and now look at the penetration from Hager and company. Hicks goes down, and there was plenty of penetration. Hager leading the charges there, number 44.
You're talking about slide like a fox. Watch him blow this play up and then create a negative play, still playing with leverage and the ability and athleticism to get back under to make a negative play. I'm telling you, that's a huge play right there for Fox. No wonder you're loving this kid.
Omenahu was also involved in that play. Big Charles, a sophomore from Rowlett, Texas, number 90, second and 11.
Nice
and
pick.
that is picked off, intercepted. It's Deshaun Elliott.
Last game against OSU, 18 for 27, 166 yards, and a couple of interceptions. But the play on that ball, dead beat from the beginning. Nice job of honing in on that one and bring that ball back. And let me tell you, Kenny should have seen that safety squatting down on that ball. He telegraphed it, never saw it, and delivered a mistake.
Have you ever been to Rockwall, Texas?
Yes,
Let me tell you, there are a couple of stoplights that are partying right now. They're enjoying this as the sophomore, 1 of 9 on Charlie Strong's defense, makes the big play. And he's a little injured and making his way off the field. Hopefully Bruce Feldman can find out for us. As you see, that Texas defense, since Charlie took over, it's been much more opportunistic. And Kenny Hill's issues with accuracy come to the forefront again.
And that was compounded because it wasn't accuracy as much, although it was part of it. It was not recognizing exactly the coverage that he was throwing into. Again, every quarterback is good enough to get a pre-snap read, but that changes in real time against great defenses where you roll to coverage, and he's got to be able to discern that, stay with the play, and diagnose it from stem to stern.
First and goal from the 9. Colin Johnson, a favorite target in this situation if they decide to throw it. Number 9 in the slot.
Nice switch.
There it is. They go for him, and it's incomplete. Well defended. They saw the fade pattern coming, and Ranthony Tejada was there to cover. Number 11, the junior from Frisco, Texas.
They had a nice little tandem look down here to the wide side of the field, and number 8, Dorian Leonard, playing that X position, may be open if they try to go for it again.
Johnson, who's angular, 6'6", 212. If it's a 50-50, look at the size differential he has if they decide to go him. He's at the slot left again. Foreman, he bulls his way down to the 3-yard line. That's Foreman's 13th straight game with 100+ yards. So he's stacking up the numbers yet again. Already 100+. Denzel Johnson made the stop.
Ty Summers, number 42, is filling it on that last play.
Well, you know, it's fourth down territory. It's been there. Does Buechele get it there? No, he does not. And they'll have to go on 4th down again, courtesy Traven Howard. What a big-time play that was by number 32 for TCU.
It sure was, because this play has been there, and but for the ability for Traven Howard to get there from his sand position, that is a score. You could book it, but the speed and athleticism denied him the opportunity. That play has been there for the last couple of drives.
Well, they've decided to go with Mitchell Becker, who's handled some kickoffs this year, for this field goal try of 19 yards. Electing to take some points this time around. Crowd did not like the idea.
Delay of game. Offense.
Wow.
5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Mitchell Becker needs the extra room apparently with the setup at the right hash. This is his, well, he's handled kickoff chores as we mentioned, but this is a field goal try that is through. Not pretty.
Oh man.
But through. Timeout. 7-6 with 2:25 to play in the opening half. Thank you. Charlie Strong opts to take the 3 points and make it a 7-6 game as Mitchell Becker boots it through after Domingue had missed one from 38 yards.
Texas with 14 points opportunities that were missed as a result of that lack of faith and a vote of confidence in the kick game. And great defense by TCU stopping them.
Deontay Gray. Flag not as effective this time. We do have a flag down. It's up around the 34-yard line. A little extracurricular activity still ongoing between those involved. So we'll have to check the flag. Mike DeFee, our referee, will let us know once they clear up the scrum.
Quincy Vassar, on special teams guy, also doubles up and wears 44, was involved.
During the return, holding, return team, number 33. It's a 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. TCU retains the ball, 1st down.
Mike Pereira is busy with a couple of games. Over on Fox, we've got the Apple Cup, and he's now joined us to give us his thoughts on the call made with Deontay Foreman a moment ago. Mike?
Yeah, you know, we were in here going, we think it's a touchdown, but then everybody said, what do you mean think? And then we started looking to see if we could actually find the knee being down. I thought maybe they ruled progress, but apparently they didn't. But I think when they went through a progression, they saw the ball break the plane, but you really can't find the knee to see that the knee is clearly up, and I think that made it to them not indisputable, and that's why they stayed with the call in the field.
All right, Mike, well, that may be true, but from the angle we had, I saw bodies. I mean, lots of bodies, multiple bodies. By the letter of the law, if that's the letter of the law,
yeah,
then, you know,
I just like some clarity on Mike on that, because is it the absence of evidence that it makes something inconclusive?
I think that's what he's saying. Mike, is that in fact the case?
But that's really what it is. The absence of evidence when you call it. Clearly the hips on the body, that you can see.
Right.
But, you know, you have to find every aspect of it to actually overturn the call on the field. You know, I hear them say, you know, to stay is your friend. You know, staying with the call on the field is your friend unless you can prove it. And I think that was the issue there.
Okay. Well, thank you for the clarification. Chris Nelson makes the stop on that play right up the gut. I tell you, it's a huge call, because even after the interception, only getting 3 points, it's a big drop off in terms of point production that, and really the momentum of the game was really squarely with Texas with field position at that time. Well, this week starts your Sunday with Fox NFL kickoff and America's #1 pregame show. Then Carson Palmer and the Cardinals collide with Matt Ryan and the Falcons, or other regional action. Coverage begins at 11 Eastern, only on Fox.
Tim, I'm just speculating here. If that play were played again and Foreman got in and it didn't take nearly as long in the second try, the brevity of the score, would that have been something they would have said could not be conclusive when they reviewed it again? In other words, it was the second try and they couldn't find that his knee was down. But if the nose of that ball immediately crossed that line,
maybe
would they have been looking for inconclusive evidence?
I think that's subjectively, I think you have a point. Now, this is one of those where we're trying, in my opinion anyway, find a way to justify
exactly.
what was a poor replay decision. Yes. If that is in fact what we're hearing, and I believe in Mike Pereira, that's a fail-safe for the replay official, who in my opinion made a mistake. Deontay Gray on the receiving, they're going to say incomplete. Ball did bounce. He scooped it up, and Texas does have a timeout remaining, so they should get quality field position yet again after the turnover on the punt.
Texas having great success with their three-man rush and forcing and inviting the quarterback to throw into coverage. And yesterday, one of the things I noticed, you were talking and looking on the sideline, I was looking at formations, and there were a lot of formation that had Malik Jefferson in nickel and dime packages just for this purpose.
Beautiful spiral for Warwick. And he decided to grab it. No fair catch called for. 44 yards and hit immediately. And let's quickly get to Los Angeles for a game break from Greg Wolf. Greg.
Tim, thanks. Well, Nebraska win and Wisconsin loss tomorrow puts the Huskers in the Big Ten championship game next Saturday on Fox. They got some work to do, though. C.J. Beathard hits Riley McCarron 77 yards. Iowa leads 13-3. They are threatening again in the second quarter. Tim, Spencer, back to you.
Boy, what a mess we have in the Big Ten. I mean, you talk about a mess.
Good to see Nebraska, though, coming back.
Oh, yeah, you knew Mike Riley would get it done. No question. On 1st and 10, Bouchel sacked by Josh Caraway. He's been all over the place. Senior from Rivermount, Texas, Marcus High School. He's a big-time playmaker.
Yeah, number 94. You can see him work on the outside to shed and release and do a nice job of working back inside against Connor Williams at left tackle.
On 2nd and 13, that one was nearly picked by Gladney. It was intended for Colin Johnson, and he jumped the route and had an opportunity at a pick there. I get the feeling that Bouchel is still playing tight, Spencer. He doesn't appear to be really winging it today.
Well, I think he's playing a lot more confident early on than he has subsequently as the game has progressed. There's been some questionable throws, and again, it didn't have as much heat on it as did early on.
And that one big throw to Duvernay that was a beauty. But I sense that there's just some anxiety in his game. This Texas team has been playing, I think, with a lot of anxiety the last few weeks since we saw them in Lubbock. That pass falling incomplete. He's looking for Dorian Leonard, and they'll have to punt it away. That was, with really good field position, a disastrous series for the Texas offense.
Well, it's part art and science that Sterling Gilbert, the offensive coordinator, has got to find a solution that brings him to that point of settle where he does execute more effectively.
Desmond White with the fair catch at the 15 after a 48-yard boot by Michael Dixon. Well, coming up, you heard from Rob Stone a moment ago. It's the State Farm halftime show with Rob and his band of renown, Dave Wanstatt, Robert Smith, and Matt Leinart. And you and I will get to visit with those guys tomorrow. We'll be flying off to Los Angeles for a
I'm looking forward
Fox
to that.
4 discussion. We're going to do our own Final Four mock selection committee show, which will air after NFL Sunday this week. We're looking forward to being a part of that.
Yeah, I'm interested in being a part of it to give a little bit different perspective. That's a stellar crew, as you pointed out, the band of renown inside the studio, but a little bit different perspective should add some fireworks. I'm looking forward to that.
I'll let you talk first, I promise.
Really?
Nothing doing for Kenny Hill. Hit hard by Jason Hall, the free safety. Clock continues to tick, and it appears that TCU, all things considered, given what's at stake here and the emotions of the moment, I think Gary Patterson would take a 7-6 lead at halftime.
Yeah, and the fact that he hadn't been run roughshod over like he was against the tandem Justice Hill and Carson last week.
A defensive-minded game with two head coaches of that pedigree. Hicks has stopped. Well, not stopped. He's well beyond the line to make. Surges out to the 29-yard line on the first half's final play. 17 yards on that one. Well, coming up after this short break, we're going to get you to Los Angeles for more highlights and analysis. Love to hear the guys' take on just how hot Tom Herman is now. If, in fact, LSU is closing in on hiring Tom Herman, I think that clothesline may be extended just a little bit after that upset today Memphis pulled off. Coaching carousel is something special in 2016. After the break, we'll get you to Los Angeles. Of Jewelry, where I'm sure a lot of shopping is taking place today.
Yeah. Check my credit card.
At halftime, TCU with a 1-point lead. After last week, defensively, Gary Patterson said, listen, guys, do your job. Yeah. Make the tackles in open space. I think they've done a good job of that, Spence. But I still believe that the message that Charlie Strong was giving his offense, which was, hey, go out and have some fun, play, wing it. I don't see that right now.
Well, I think that, though, TCU is playing pretty good defense right now. Again, you have to constitute a win, 100 yards. Deontay Foreman, given what he's done up until this point, 12 consecutive games plus that. I think this is good open field tackling here. The anatomy of this series of plays here, Nico Small was involved, and the reason why I point him out is those guys on the back end, besides that one sandbacker tackle there, is coming from the back end. That means 4 or 5 yards of being gained. And then with Texas, look at the anatomy of their defense. You got Malik Jefferson coming from his linebacker spot. You got defending players on the back end, interception, ball hawking. They're coming from all three levels. So that tells me everyone is engaged on this defense right now. So with Puna Ford and company combined with the back end and the linebackers, that's a complete defensive effort.
Now you see the total yards. Texas has plenty of that. You can credit Foreman with the lion's share of it, over 100 plus. He may be on his way to setting the all-time single-season rushing record in Texas history. And our Bruce Feldman had an opportunity to chat with both coaches at halftime.
Yeah, Tim, Charlie Strong, even though they're over 250 yards offense, he goes, we got to convert when we have the opportunities. Also, I want us to take more shots over their head downfield. We already got to keep Deontay going. As far as Texas Christian goes, Gary Patterson kind of perplexed why they got away from going tempo. I said, what happened? You did it in the first series. He goes, I don't know. Maybe it was the holding penalties. We got to get back to it.
Texas is 1-17, by the way, when trailing at half under Strong. Now, granted, it was a 1-point game. That only win, by the way, came against Iowa State this year.
Yeah, as Charlie looks on, I think the point that Bruce made is well taken. Just 1 of 9 on third down conversion. If you do the math on that, those are significant numbers of plays that they're leaving on the field because their inability to convert those. The way you win in that category is get the defense in a run-pass conflict. That means you win 5 or more yards on first and second down. If you do that, they don't know how to defend you on the back end.
Mitchell Becker did kick the 1 field goal after Domingue missed, kicks it away, and it's Deontay Gray from his 6. There's that speed again. And markers flying back at the 15-yard line. I see 2 of them after a 25-yard return by Gray.
There's usually holding of some sort when a guy gets a gash like that on a return.
Or a block in the back.
Yep.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Return team number 33. Half the distance to the goal from the spot of the foul. First down.
Yeah, Timmy, people just don't appreciate how difficult it is to block somebody that's coming at you full speed. And sometimes you get out of position, and it's tough not to make difficult matters even worse. But sometimes you wind up hitting the guy in the back, and that's exactly what happened on that series of plays.
Salo Alanalua, reserve running back, was the guilty party there for TCU. So they'll start now from inside their 10-yard line. The infraction from the point of the foul. At the 9-yard line, officially, we'll call it.
Soft coverage up top. Bail technique down here on the numbers of number 2.
Hicks. Up to the 14-yard line. All right, I need you to tell me the bail technique.
Yeah, the bail technique is where a corner is standing over the receiver and he's fronting him up, but he opens his shoulders at the last minute because he respects his speed.
Hicks going towards the boundary, does have the line to make. It will be a first down at the 20-yard line. Dylan Haynes, number 14, one of the 13 seniors being honored today from Lake Vista. Lago Vista, I beg your pardon, made the stop. So it's first down and 10 at the 20.
Nice little corner blitz there.
And some pressure up the middle, too. Hill decides to tuck it, and it was a nice idea. He gets ahead for 9 yards before Edwin Freeman pushed him out.
Well, John Bonnie was coming off the weak side there, the short side of the field, and they caught him, man. They ran right away from that pressure. Bonnie just got burned on that one. He was playing with leverage, but that little sneaky blitz burned him.
2nd and 1. That's Diarce. And the LSU transfer with his first grab of the day. Gets it out to the 38, and as Bruce Feldman told us off his conversation with Gary Patterson, a little tempo out of the gates here for TCU. Haven't seen it really since the opening series of the game. Hicks runs into Nashawn Hughes at the 40 and is pushed back.
Hughes was involved in that last play, and again, it was Hunt Cole, number 81, who blocked him well, but Hughes responded, playing his assignment to the short side of the field and shut that play down. Nice leverage play by Hughes.
I'll give him 3, so it's 2nd down and 7 coming up. Diarce is the slot receiver up to the top of your screen. Hill with plenty of time, now flushed. Has to run and does have another first down. Very resourceful. And again, the coverage was outstanding, but they did not have this part of the field covered.
Well, Pointer and company, again, just rushing 3. You got him essentially in a spy position. He doesn't have the speed and athleticism to get to that edge. They've got to spy this quarterback who's mobile. Malik Jefferson typically is the guy that plays that role.
There's the wide receiver screen again. The bubble to Diarce, his second catch. And his yards after contact, really good. He's big, he's burly. Played, as I mentioned, at LSU before transferring over from Monroe Neville High School.
Texas has got to do a better job of as a player is down on the field, and that's Hughes. Got to tackle better in space and can't afford to lose Hughes on that weak side of the field. He's been a star for him in this series in particular.
Well, it's pretty clear opening both halves, the first and second, that the tempo and the crispness of this TCU offense has been on full display.
Yeah, well, you expect that. I mean, look, Gary Patterson is one of the brightest defensive minds in all of football, and we know what the tandem of Doug Meacham and Sonny Cumbie are. I mean, Boykin under the helm last year, they were outstanding. Josh Doxson and company, they were an elite offense, so they can move the ball down the field. That's what halftime adjustments are all about. You expect them to respond. The key is, can Texas counter on the offensive side of the ball? That's a bright coach right there.
Yes, indeed. Played at Oklahoma State in the late 80s when Gundy was there, Hartley Dykes and Thurman Thomas in the gang. By the way, Texas lost not just Nashawn Hughes there, but also Poona Ford, 95 and 40 coming off the field. So a difficult play for them. There you see Sonny Cumbie.
Yeah, he's the calm one, and again, Doug Meacham is the Red Bull guy. He's got a great mind and kinetic energy, surfer dude.
2nd down and 1. Hicks is back in the backfield. And on the read, Hill decides to keep it. And he is stopped very quickly by P.J. Locke, the nickelbacker. Beaumont, Texas Central High School, another one of the many sophomores that is on this defense, dotted throughout this defensive depth chart.
He's there for the nickel spot for that exact purpose. Touch.
Wide open. That's Desmond White. That looked like a busted coverage, Spencer.
Yeah, the touch on that play is what made it work. He actually still put a little bit more air on it than it should. If he got it down a little bit lower, Boyd Company would have been beat. Maybe it had a chance to make somebody else miss. But excellent touch over the corner's head and behind the safety.
25 yards. Hill.
Nice hand up.
Tipped into the air. That had a chance to be caught twice off the tip drill. Once by TCU and once by Texas.
Well, that was Anthony Wheeler there, the weak side linebacker that got in that fray. And Kenny Hill's got to be really careful down here because guys are going to try to affect the quarterback. You got two guys with their hands up in the air trying to affect the ball on that play.
Jefferson tipped it.
Malcolm Roach was involved in that as well.
Emmanuel Porter had a shot at it from TCU at one point too, and then they became defenders. Derek Green, 27, the senior transfer from Michigan, has come into the game at running back.
Might they be isolating here?
That pass is underthrown. Intended for Emmanuel Porter. John Bonney was over there to provide the coverage, but the pass was thrown a little low for him, and he couldn't bring it in. It's 3rd down and 10 coming up.
Well, that was Porter out there, and they cleared it out for him to the field, to the wide side. And again, that's a matchup that you like. Remember, we talked about Bonney earlier being not a field corner, but a boundary corner, somebody that's in the short side of the field. That's the matchup you want. He's not the most athletic of the cover guys.
Trips to the top of your screen. They go empty. Hill over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Porter. Really well defended by P.J. Locke.
You know, typically the nickel back is usually the most athletic guy that's not in the starting lineup, but I don't think there's any material difference here. That's just great presence and a great pass defense effort by Locke. Turns that head around just for a minute, recognize he can't play the ball, so he plays the arms of the would-be receiver and just bats it away with that left arm. Outstanding defense.
Brandon Hatfield missed an extra point, had one blocked last week against Oklahoma State. Vincent Taylor came up the middle to get it. This one will be from 28 yards. And he boots it through. So the Horned Frogs with a solid drive, stymied by a couple of outstanding defensive plays. Jefferson and P.J. Locke to force a 3.
Sandwich or something. Or something? You don't just graduate from medical school or something. And we don't just pull smoked chicken, bake fresh focaccia, and hand-sliced avocado. There's nothing or something about it.
10-6 our score. TCU has scored points on both opening drives, 0 on everything else. This most recent one, though, 79 yards, their longest, and the longest for either team. We're going to go back to that second down play, Spencer. And Kenny Hill missed a week of practice, has been nicked up a little bit. You can see him favoring that right hamstring after that play. Yep. He's had to call his own number quite a bit. You could see they were working on him during the timeout. Bruce Feldman will try to find out a little bit more for us. And as we were told before the game, Foster Sawyer could see some playing time, more because of the missed time at practice. And the young man can really spin it. He's got a great arm. Chakori Warwick will allow for a touchback there, and Texas will take over 1st and 10.
Well, there was no contact on that previous play, but again, it looked like it was just tight.
Well, you see the numbers on Buechele. Not bad. Certainly Deontay Foreman carrying this team right now, but Sterling Gilbert is so high on this young man and what he can do. And perhaps we were spoiled by that early game with Notre Dame, just how amazing he was. And here he's been compared to Colt McCoy and others, obviously, for the impact that he can have, Spencer. But after that Kansas performance, and with everything swirling around this program right now, I think he's been adversely affected. As you see Foreman taking the first down play ahead for maybe a yard, if that. James McFarland making the stop. He just appears tentative to me.
Well, you know, I think the thing that the narrative is emerging here is the explosive plays by some of the receivers, 48, 23, and 20 yards. You look alternately at TCU, there's not one receiver past 15. So TCU is lacking those explosive plays. And I hear where you're coming from about the tentativeness. But if you've got 3 different receivers plus 20 yards on receiving, that tells me a little bit about the balance you're creating.
Going for Amani Foreman, and that's going to be a flag. Tejada just would not allow him room along the sidelines there.
Yep.
And that's a no-no.
And Timmy, that's the attitude that I'm thinking about here. Texas is willing and their offensive coordinator.
Pass interference. Defense, number 11. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic. First down.
And Sterling Gilbert's willingness to take those shots downfield, and you can see the contact late there. You don't take a shot unless you figure you can win that matchup. That, to me, if I'm a Texas guy, I'm looking at that as an encouraging factor to take them vertical.
From the 44.
Nice
Foreman,
speed.
and it's wide open for him. You've seen the strength. Now watch the speed. yards.
Timmy, you talk about footwork in a confined area. This big guy's like smoke through a keyhole. Watch this. Weaving, bobbing, seating that ball properly, and then putting that head back and trying to outrun a defensive back.
Down to the 7. Now, there's no denying this young man, when he gets lathered up, he just gets better.
Well, it took him a record 51 carries to get the 250 and a couple of touchdowns last week, but he can show you he can sprint and get it in a hurry.
He only needed 137 to get past 2,000 in his career. Well on his way. Pressure off the backside, and it's Tejada atoning for the interference call with the corner cat blitz to bring down Buechele.
You got it, partner. He worked that corner cat blitz. He came from way out there. Buechele never saw him coming. Worked right off of the face of his guy in a press look, which sold it. Press meaning he's right in the face of the offensive guy to reduce the amount of distance between himself and the quarterback. Very rarely would you see that kind of blitz with there being a cushion between them. Great call by Gary Patterson on the defensive side.
Play fake to Foreman for the corner, and Collins incomplete. Colin Johnson, the intended receiver, who ran that to perfection against Texas Tech, had a couple of touchdowns on that post corner route. Nico Small was there to cover that one, and again Texas stymied, and that's going to lead to yet another, oh my goodness, field goal try. This one from Mitchell Becker. They're going to set it up at the 21. A 31-yard try. And remember, Trey Holtz, who holds, is a backup quarterback. And he just got it in. That baby was hooking. He can be happy it wasn't 36 yards. But Deontay Foreman got the job done. We said he needed 137. He got 152. That puts him at over 2,000 yards in his career. That, ladies and gentlemen,
feed me,
puts him in a position only 2 others have ever had. A moment ago, the public address system telling the rest of the Texas faithful that this man, Deontay Foreman, has joined this group of Big 12 stalwarts at over 2,000 yards in a single season in conference history. And the only other Horn to have accomplished it, Ricky Williams, back in 1998. 152 yards for Deontay and counting. We are still very early in the third quarter. Here's Deontay Gray. Wow. I mean, you just keep thinking if there's a crease, you better close it in a hurry or he's gone. 33 yards on the return. Let's go down to Bruce Feldman for more on the injury circumstances.
Yeah, Tim. Kenny Hill did tweak his right hamstring. The training staff tried to stretch it out. They think he's okay to go. One other thing, Emmanuel Porter, the rangy starting wideout, he was taken back to the locker room for further evaluation.
Well, they're already down Cavante Turpin today. And now without Porter, another speed guy and an angular physical guy that was in that slot a great deal. So they've taken a few hits in the receiving core the last couple of weeks. Kyle Hicks is the setback. 1st and 10 from the 35. The little bubble screen is bounced at the feet of the intended receiver, Jalen Austin.
Tim, you know, a lot of times people don't equate those types of mistakes with the capacity of the lower body to be able to deliver a pass, even a nice little screen like that. But if your legs are not anchored or you got a problem with your hamstring, it affects your capacity to deliver a pass with velocity. And so if I'm Texas, I'm going to test that to find out if he's wounded or if he's just emotionally scarred.
I knew you were going to run into that Jerry Glanville line. On 2nd and 10, Hicks. And he pops free for 11 yards and a 1st down.
That's what they're missing from Hicks, man. He was on fire before last week against Oklahoma State. Coming off that game after a bye, 192 yards against Baylor, trying to recapture that form.
Underneath, he checks down to him. And in the passing game, this youngster could come out of the backfield and have impact. Malik Jefferson makes the stop. This youngster from Arlington, Texas, Martin High School, says he can't remember fumbling since his junior year in high school. He's ahead for about a yard, and that was all that was needed, so it should be a 1st down. Malcolm Roach, 32, making the tackle.
A lot of smart plays being made on the field. That previous play, Malik Jefferson respected Hicks' ability and then played him with his head upfield. It's just a game inside the game going on. Is really impressive here.
I get the feeling this is going to be a very entertaining second half with a lot at stake for both teams. TCU does have one remaining game next week against Kansas State. Flags pre-snap. Looks like a false start. That's the preliminary indication.
False start. Offense. Number 68. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
Goes against Joseph Noteboom, the junior from Plano, Texas. They have the luxury of one additional game. There are 7 bowl tie-ins, by the way, for the Big 12 Conference. The only way they can fulfill all of them, again, presuming that they're not a part of the college football playoff, would be for Texas to win here and then TCU to beat K-State next week. Then they could fulfill all of their obligations. That final bowl would be the Cactus Bowl, which has been mentioned prominently with Texas, were they to win today. Nothing doing, and then you see the beautiful zone read move of Kenny Hill. His read there was perfect. And he gets it out for a healthy gain down to the 41 of Texas.
Well, Kyle Hicks was a sacrificial lamb there, but it wasn't at the expense. Again, as Hager tried to take him down, and he did, but the Houdini act by Hill was a nice job of moving outside and move the chains.
2nd down and 8. Calls his own number again, hamstring and all. Down the sidelines. Touchdown. Well, that brought back memories of Call Me Trill Hill from his days at Texas A&M.
Well, Texas just rushing 4 and decided to lose with the pressure upfield, their integrity on that defense. And number 7, you can't do that with them. A design call run. Gary Patterson encourages his offensive coordinators to allow him to do that. When he settles in, he's a different quarterback.
Hatfield for the extra point. Now, those defensive guys know a thing or two about what bothers defenses with their offense. And he told them, hey, man, this guy's better once he's run the ball. The longest run of his career, 41 yards. Tightrope back down the sidelines. Count it. And the lead is 8.
2 pizzas and sticks, throw a cookie in the mix. Every year I need my triple treat fix. So, wait, is that a hot oven? I didn't get to sing about the chance to win an Xbox One S. The triple treat box. Because no one on Pizza's the Hut.
FS1 College Football is sponsored by Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry. Time to get a massage after that 41-yard touchdown jaunt for Hill. 2nd rushing touchdown today. I mean, he's been this offense, and most of it really has been with his legs. Yeah. And that's what's suffering to some extent right now. We'll see if he can hang in there. Nicked up all week, as we mentioned, missed today of practice.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, he has 3 of the top 9 passing performances in TCU's history. Had a 452-yarder versus SMU, 499. against Oklahoma, 5 TDs, but he's not been able to recapture that performance this year.
Bunts his boot is again very good and through the end zone for a touchback. Well, after being hired from Louisville, Charlie went 6-7, lost to Arkansas in the Texas Bowl, 5 of 6 to the top 25. Then in 2015, 5-7 overall, missed a bowl game for the first time since 2010. The program back-to-back losing seasons for the first time since 88-89. This season does have a couple of top 10 wins, but their first loss to Kansas since 1938.
And if you're measuring success, you got to look at the pratfalls that maybe defined a couple of those losses inexplicably to Kansas among them. But you've got to understand the context which he came in here. This team had no NFL players drafted that year, which is amazing.
Deontay Foreman with a quality carry on first down. He began this series with 152 yards on the day. So you can give him at least 8 more. So he's up to 160. Keep an eye on linebacker Ty Summers today. He's been all over the field. 12 tackles, 9 solo. And Buechele really thrown to the turf hard by Traven Howard.
Yeah, Traven is more athletic. You got to really be careful. You're not looking to run the ball. He pulls it down because of the tight coverage. But again, number 32 is working in that Sam linebacker position, strong side for a stop.
3rd and 1. It's Foreman, and he's got the first down. Jettisons to the 37-yard line.
And talking to him as a Longhorn is down.
That's Caleb Blewett. By the way, we're talking about guys in their 3rd year, and I know it's 16 and 20, and even Charlie, when we met with him, was very transparent. He said, look, that's not good enough. I knew when I got here that's not good enough. Well, at other places, it was good enough. Mike Leach playing today for the Apple Cup. That was 12 and 25 in his first 3 years. How about Mike McIntyre at Colorado? Willie Taggart at South Florida. People had him dead to rights and gone after year 2. And look what happened in his 4th year. A good, solid coach with pedigree had done well at Western Kentucky. All of these guys had done well at other places, as Charlie had done well at Louisville.
And needed that 4th year to turn it around.
The difference is, and the naysayers would say, well, this is Texas.
That's right.
That's the comeback.
Well, you play devil's advocate with me on that particular play, and that would be the response. Well, this is Texas. And that hubris actually is what gets people in trouble. You know, the landscape of college football is flat, in my opinion. You've got one outlier in Alabama that is head and shoulders above everyone else. But for the most part, on any given Sunday or Saturday or Friday or Thursday, as the case may be.
I think they're playing Tuesdays and Wednesdays now, too.
Any one of these teams can beat you.
I get your drift. 1st and 10. Buechele on the quick out. Gives it to Leonard. Nothing doing. That's a magnificent defensive reaction there.
Well, you got to be able to step up and make plays like that. Again, it's Kalen Moore, I think, jumping up in there to settle that down and limit that damage. But he was.
2nd down and 6. Foreman stopped at the line of scrimmage this time.
TCU really swarming to the ball right now, and you're seeing a definitively more conservative approach now as we get to the latter parts, maybe physically trying to wear this team down, but you got to be able to score points and match him, because we certainly know that TCU's got the capability. Although the receivers haven't shown up in recent weeks, Kenny Hill is still a dangerous threat to score anytime.
Yeah, they need this conversion here on 3rd and 6.
Wow.
Just again, I think that's tightness from the freshman quarterback. That's not the same quarterback we saw early in the season. I mean, he rushed that from the get-go.
Well, I'm not sure the play was not doomed from the beginning because of the coverage. Again, very, very tight coverage. If you don't get separation as a receiver, Sterling Gilbert looks at that. Charlie Strong certainly is wanting more productivity out of that side of the ball, but you got to be able to discern which plays are going to be good plays to get in and get your quarterback in those good plays.
Well, it's evident they're doing everything they can to get the ball out of there quickly, and in so doing, he appears rushed. That punt taken on the fly and thrown down immediately. Boy, it was a beautiful punt by Dixon. It was White that took it in after a 40-yard boot. Should have been a head coach long before he went to Louisville. After he got there, he got it done. Will he here or even have a chance at a 4th season? 17-9 our score. Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, Bruce Feldman here on FS1. Thanksgiving weekend. We hope you and yours had a marvelous turkey day and are enjoying the leftovers with us. Kyle Hicks will dot the I in that shotgun behind his quarterback Kenny Hill. He remains in the game. And again on the check down, throws it a little behind Hicks. Incomplete.
Yeah, Hager was in his back pocket there, but again, I think the pressure up front was enough to force Hill to throw that ball away. So clearly defensively, Texas feeling like they've got to affect the quarterback some way down the stretch.
Yeah, this is a big series for the Texas defense. Their offense is really struggling. Buechele is not himself. And they need to get field position on their side so Foreman can get going. 2nd and 10. Looping it, back shoulder throw incomplete for Taj Williams. He appeared to slip, was well defended by Chris Boyd, but it was clearly a back shoulder effort on the part of Kenny Hill.
And then Hill had to extend himself then after that to stretch out that hamstring. Another cross-field throw, taking an impact on the quarterback.
Well, we told you this is an important sequence for the Texas defense. Do you come with pressure? They're 0 for 6 on 3rd down conversions, TCU.
I say you beat them with coverage here.
All right.
It's a lot of water here. You got a stand-up guy. You got 3. They're going to bail out of this.
Pressure.
That's great.
He gets away from it. Hill is really tough in these situations, and he gets his man for 1st down to Jalen Austin. Well, you had the first look.
That's the elusiveness of Hill, pulling the ball down against just a 3-man rush. This is where he's so dangerous, improvising on the run to find an open receiver and to move the chains and put the Texas Longhorns back on their heels.
That's the first 3rd down conversion of the day. Now pressure off the edge, and they get to him back at the 29-yard line. You know, Malcolm Roach, the freshman from Baton Rouge, had a real shot at him on that 3rd down play and missed, and then Hill made him pay.
Well, there you see him coming on nice little games on the outside. That pressure was there, and they had to create that pressure with formation and the games, meaning they're swapping responsibilities and crossing lanes in real time, trying to cause confusion among the offensive line blockers.
That's the 3rd sack of Hill by Texas. 2nd and 14.
Just a 3-man rush again, going to play coverage.
That pass could have been picked, and markers fly. Devontae Davis, number 9, who made that saving tackle, you might recall, of Deontay Gray on the kick, was there. Isaiah Graham.
Holding. Defense, number 9.
Yeah.
It's a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic 1st down.
Yeah, he was holding Graham, so that he was well defended and illegally.
Yeah, it must have happened early in the coverage. Again, you can see the eyes come back out to the out, and you can see that jam that happened just a little bit before. And here's the whole thing. You can see it down. Number 9, Davis does a nice job with that left hand, but you know, I'll tell you, interesting call.
Little tight.
Yep.
Isaiah Graham was the intended receiver, and here's Hicks trying to jitterbug his way out of trouble in his own backfield, and does manage the 41-yard line, so a little bit of a gain. Omenahu made the stop. Number 90.
Like a little water bug in there,
yeah,
bouncing around. He's quick as a hiccup, man. There's
2nd down at 8. His numbers beginning to grow. Thing about Kyle Hicks that really impresses you is his ability to come out of the backfield as a receiver too. Multi-dimensional. That pass was airmailed by Hill. He'd love to have that one over, intended for Daniel Walsh, who was open. Well, let's go down to Bruce Feldman while we have a moment.
Yeah, Tim, injury update. Texas restaged the Deshaun Elliott, who had the interception early in the game. He is out for the rest of the game with an ankle injury.
I think it happened on the interception, Bruce, on that very play. He needed to be aided to the sidelines. Another big 3rd down here. TCU with plenty of time on the play clock. Meacham says, let's get it going.
He obviously likes to play. Let's see if it works against pressure.
Pressure off the edge. Over the middle, incomplete. Diarce was there. The pass overthrown. And it was Dylan Haynes that was in pursuit of him, the strong side safety.
Yeah, the umpire was there too in the middle of the field, so he may get the assist if we were recording in such a way. You can see the stripe guy waiting right there underneath. The ball was thrown out in front. That was off the mark anyway. He wasn't going to make it, but
Ja'Cory Warwick with a fair catch called at the 17-yard line off the punt from Nunez, a 42-yard boot. What's the story in Pullman, Washington? Greg Wolf has that story for us as we get a game break in Los Angeles.
Tim, thanks again. Pac-12 championship trip on the line. A game you'll see on Fox next Friday. Luke Falk to the Pac-12's all-time leading receiver, Gabe Marks. 9-yard touchdown. A lot of work for the Cougs to get back in it. They trail the Huskies 35-17 third quarter. Tim, Spencer, back to you.
Never count out the mad scientist. Okay, it's never over, particularly in Pullman. Kyle Porter is in the game, and he takes it right up the gut. Ahead for 7, maybe 8 on first down. Ty Summers yet again with another tackle. His 10th solo of the afternoon.
Interesting play selection again. The clear theme of running the football, no matter who's in the game. The issues of the quarterback in the throw game, obviously a challenge, but they're going to go to the air here.
Looking long for his speedster down the sidelines and again underthrown. Duvernay, the intended receiver. Nico Small was down there, and another underthrown pass from Buechele.
Duvernay can flat out run. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's about 190, 187, but he's got jets, and Buechele had to give everything he possibly could to throw that one beyond both those two guys.
Well, you see those numbers on Buechele, but he was 8 of his first 12, 139 yards. Since then, late in the second quarter, 1 of 7 for 4 yards.
Well, that's the narrative here. Again, TCU's quarterback has done what he does best, better than what the young freshman does for Texas.
Play fake. There's the cross, and he's got his man. Colin Johnson.
Jeff Gladney was defending there, and you can see tremendous job of lasering that ball. And there's some of the accuracy that defined that stretch you alluded to earlier. He finds it and fits and starts. It's coming back, at least for now.
They roll him out. He got pressure and wisely got to the ground. Heavy duty pressure from L.J. Collier, number 91. Monday High School, Monday, Texas, the 4th sack of the day for TCU.
Yeah, big number 91 pushes and works up here through that front that's trying to block him on the run. Showing you great athleticism for a guy that plays in the interior line of scrimmage to get to the quarterback. Now you have swoops in.
Yes, indeed. The 18-wheeler package is now being called upon.
Interesting.
One of the seniors, 2nd and 18. After the negative play, they get him in. You know what's coming. Can you stop it? Out to the 40-yard line, and Nick Orr made the tackle. So now you at least have 3rd down and manageable after the 12-yard pickup.
But do you feel comfortable throwing the ball with him in the game? You need at least 5.
3rd down and 6 here.
He's got it.
On the zone read, he decided to take it, but obviously you're thinking, right? If he's going to be in the game and you're going to run that, do you have 4 plays in mind? Here comes Buechele onto the field.
Interesting.
No, they're going to pull him off. They're going to go with Dixon to punt it away. No reason really to put the game on the line at this early juncture. But that play call would allow you to think that maybe they had a 4-down situation at least in their mind there.
Some of that's respect. Some of it may be the fact that they're figuring their quarterback is not playing at the level that they want him to play. That's a questionable situation.
Desmond White awaits the boot from Michael Dixon, and he's got it with a fair catch at the 10, a 46-yard boot. Next weekend, the Pac-12 and the Big Ten championships are only on Fox. It all starts next Friday with the Pac-12 championship, with coverage beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern. Then next Saturday, it's the Big Ten championship in prime time. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern. It's all on Fox, or you can watch it live on Fox Sports Go. And might I editorialize that this game is also a championship. It's not called a championship. It's a regular season rivalry game called Bedlam that is also a conference championship. We've got 3 of them Friday night in primetime and then Saturday, all on Fox. Kyle Hicks takes it off the right side.
Well, insofar as the conference is concerned, it's a winner-take-all affair. And again, to me, that makes it by itself, with the rivalry included, having played in it. It's one of the most significant games that week.
On 2nd and 5, penetration from Hager, but Hicks bounces off. Stays with it, yards after contact, and gets the first down. Tim Cole ushered him out. And it looks like Hicks is still down. Yeah. Slow to get up.
Well, they can ill afford to lose him for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's your second leading receiver. Obviously, he's your leading rusher on the team. That severely handcuffs you. Now, I can dial in on your quarterback, who you know, even though he's thrown the ball well tonight, you want him to run the football more than anything else. It helps a defensive coordinator play TCU much more effectively with him out of the game.
You can see they're very concerned. He has not gotten up.
Nope.
And you see the rushing yards and receiving yards for him. Darius Anderson, the freshman, has come in to replace him.
You can see it's a stretch play on the outside. He makes one guy miss, and then he shows you his ability to be athletic. But on the fall down, it looks like he hurt his lower leg. Look like it.
Mm-hmm.
And the previous run, though, you can see here again on the finish.
Came down awkwardly there.
Hager making the tackle, and he comes down a little bit awkward on that play.
Yeah, he was a little gimpy after that.
That may have been a cumulative effect, and the fact that they gave it to him on the ensuing play probably compounded it. But he's up and about and moving. That's a good sign for the Horned Frogs.
Without Cavante Turpin as a playmaker out wide, and they haven't been able to really target Taj Williams that often.
Well, Turpin torched this team last year in his rookie campaign. Four touchdowns.
Yeah.
But he's a little bit slight, as you pointed out earlier, and that little slightness physically hampers him against a physical team like Texas.
On 1st and 10, again, bouncing off one tackler, and off for more is Darius Anderson. And we've got a marker down back at the line of scrimmage.
And they're going to be lucky. P.J. Locke missed that tackle, but again, it may be coming back because of a holding penalty from the place where the flag was thrown.
During the run, holding, offense, number 58, 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
Patrick Morris this time, the junior from Denton, Texas, that negates a 13-yard gain.
Yeah, he's playing at his left guard position. You can see that little hand grabbing there. And even if it wasn't him, he could have been called for it. You got to make sure you're clean. These jerseys contrast so easily, and the officials can see when your hand's in front of those numbers. That hurt.
1st and 20. Back to the 13-yard line. Texas partisan fan base is on its edge of its seat, wanting to stop badly here, knowing they could get some field position and cut into this 8-point lead. Jason Hall with the stop of Anderson that time, and he gets ahead for a 5-yard gain. 2nd down and 15.
Sonny Cumbie and Doug Meacham trying to do some late movement to get a matchup advantage here. Let's see if they can dissuade him on defense.
Well, they're going to call it 14. It's a long 14. From the 19-yard line. Pressure from Jefferson, and he runs right where Jefferson vacated, but great recovery that time by Edwin Freeman, number 35, the strong linebacker. He was very quick with his lateral pursuit.
Yeah, Arlington, Texas, and he really showed you that athleticism, playing great assignment football.
2 defensive coaches keeping this one down in the 20. First one to 20 may win this one, Spence. The Horns and the Horned Frogs with a lot at stake. Bowl eligibility and future. Oh, do we mean future. We open the 4th quarter here at Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium. Tim Brando, Bruce Feldman on the sidelines, and Spencer Tillman. Well, we've seen Buechele taken out of the game at a time when they really needed a lot of yardage. Decided to run the 18-wheeler package. Does that suggest to you that Charlie's saying to the seniors, it's yours here in the 4th quarter?
It could be that, but what's for sure, 12 of 71 runs in the 3rd quarter tells me that they have certainly taken a decided decision to move toward the run game to decide this game. And so again, whether it constitutes lack of faith in your young signal caller or not, Texas is going to win this game or lose it on the ground.
Hill with the pocket breaking down. Hager in pursuit. And Hill again gets the job done with his feet. Well out beyond the 30 to the 32. I think he's very close to the first down.
And he's gimping up again. But again, you cannot ignore his athleticism and ability to stem plays spinning out here. And Hager tries to get up and find himself. It's about how much pressure emotionally and physically he's putting on this defense. Texas is getting tired in its backyard.
4th down and a yard. So he almost got it with that ad-lib job. At the very least, he helped them from a field position standpoint with the scamper. And he is not only winded, but gimpy. And I don't know that they may need to warm up Foster Sawyer, the backup, who can really throw it. Adam Nunez to punt it away. Beautiful punt, backing up Ja'Cory Warwick at his 20, and he is met immediately. Nothing doing is TCU's Deontay Gray. Well, that straight line speed we were talking about, had that 57-yard return of his own, gets down there to make the tackle.
Yeah, no gray area with him. He's coming down with intention to make a tackle, or as a return man, he's going to blow past you. And that speed serving him well on special teams.
Well, we may see more of the 18-wheeler, but it's Buechele's game for the moment. And again, I think that there have been times, you mentioned the big plays they've gotten in the passing game, Spencer, but those intermediate routes, those seam routes, 15 to 20-yard variety, over the middle, those kinds of passes, they've not been effective in that area today.
And you're absolutely right. And I think what Coach Gilbert is trying to do is understand where the greatest probability to make a play is. And it's in your run game, and then to keep them honest, take a shot occasionally. You got to be careful with that's a dangerous throw
and that's the one he's been comfortable throwing. The little outs to Colin Johnson there, and then over the top. And you heard Bruce Feldman talking to Charlie Strong, and clearly Sterling Gilbert knows this too. He loves to throw the deep ball, and it's great to stretch defenses. But they're not getting much done with crossing patterns and slants and that kind of thing. Everything's been towards the boundary, and Foreman has stopped in his tracks by Ty Summers.
Yeah, but what I'm noticing is TCU is starting to squat on those out routes, particularly the ones to the long side of the field. You got to be really careful. You can read numbers, but you have to, even as a freshman, read the coverage. See how they're squatting and sitting? When I'm talking about the relative distance between these guys right here on their receiver. Increasingly, this game goes along. TCU is encroaching and playing a single safety look, saying, dare you to beat us.
That's the pass we're talking about. It's incomplete. It was a quick curl, but thrown towards the middle of the field for Duvernay. Nico Small was there, and again, just absolutely nothing accomplished. And as you mentioned, Spencer, just the defense alone from TCU would indicate it was a highly predictable series.
Well, it was just airtight coverage that defined that series, and that's why Texas once again is punting. Nico Small, the free safety, was challenged on that play. All of them played across the board, man, each one doing their job.
Dixon trying to angle it. That's a beautiful boot. Got well past White. I think he misjudged it. And look at that baby roll. Now there's your best offense. 75 yards, that boot from Dixon from Sydney, Australia. A good day on the day after Thanksgiving for him. 8 punts for 44 yards on average last week. The young man did a quality job there.
This is basically nothing, and yet it's everything. Introducing Pepsi Zero Sugar. Zero sugar, 0 calories, but max Pepsi taste. Nothing has never tasted so good.
You see the work being done on Kenny Hill. As we surmised, Foster Sawyer will be getting some playing time. Young man from Fort Worth, Texas, who has played a good bit this season and does have a very strong arm. He comes in a very big predicament in terms of field position. The ball is at the 3-yard line. Travorris Johnson, number 24, is his running back, and he hasn't had a carry today. So this is a banged up, bruised and battered TCU team just hanging on with its defense and an offense that's created just enough to have the lead. And Johnson takes off and gets it up to the 5, a pickup of 2 And with more injury news, here's Bruce.
Tim, Kyle Hicks, whose ribs got banged up, he's taken back to the locker room for further evaluation. And Denzel Johnson, the strong safety, they have taken him back to the locker room and they're looking at his ankle.
Tell you, the old defensive wizard, Gary Patterson, said, next man up. Hey, we don't care about what's going on at Texas, fellas. We got to take care of ourselves. That was his message this week. 2nd and 8. Johnson towards the boundary, and a lot of room there for him. Stopped by Malcolm Roach. And that's enough for the first down.
That's a nice run by Johnson out of A-Leaf Taylor High School out of the Houston area, showing you his ability to get to that corner and make a play, move the chains.
Gives them some room to work with.
Yep. No rush here. Take your time.
Sawyer threw it 5 times against Oklahoma State in mop-up duty a week ago. Did play in that overtime with Texas Tech, and look at that run, huh? Well, Johnson just keeps the legs churning for a first down out to the 29-yard line. Well, after that 14-yard gain, Spencer, Dylan Haynes making the stop.
Well, there's always going to be soft spots in this 3-man front, and it's usually over the guards, and that's what's being exploited right now by TCU. And the backup back doing the duties.
Johnson again. Well, they're getting to that second level pretty easily, aren't they?
They really
out to
are.
the 43-yard line. Haynes again making the tackle. TCU beginning this drive at their 3-yard line. A great opportunity afforded Texas off the foot of Dixon. And just like that, with their backup quarterback in, Meacham and Cumbie are dialing up running plays for the kid that's come in from Houston, Texas, as you mentioned, A-Leaf Taylor High School, with fresh legs, playing for the first time today.
He's 226. He can carry the ball with the load. They're trusting him.
And there you see just Sawyer fell down. He lost his footing there as he was trying to get to the edge. He's a little upset with himself.
A turf monster got him. That's embarrassing, you know.
Loss of 2, and it's 2nd down and 12 coming up. Give Gary Patterson so much credit for bringing in an intellectual property from outside his own with Meacham and Cumbie.
Yeah, a pair of them, the best tandem, I think, in college football.
Darius Anderson is checked in for Johnson, number 6. The freshman from Rosenberg, Texas.
Both of them decidedly as co-coordinators better when you had a Trayvon Boykin and Josh Doxson, certainly.
Anderson on the stretch, turns it back up. Look at that quickness, stopping on a dime. He's got a convoy. P.J. Locke ushered him out. That was a remarkable run by the freshman.
Well, you show his elusiveness, and again, the vision. That's the asset that any good runner needs to have. And then the turn you around, Locke obviously turned around on that play as well as a host of other Longhorns, and then there's another one that's down on the field.
Ominahu, number 90, is down at the 32-yard line.
Yeah, Charles went down chasing. Again, I'm surprised that Moore haven't fallen again after that run. And I think there's a cumulative effect happening here as Texas is kind of wearing down a little bit.
Yeah, they look weary. And the defense has had to play a lot because the offense has been ineffective.
Thank you for calling. We'll be with you shortly.
Yeah, right. Xerox Predictive Analytics help companies provide a better and faster customer experience.
Hello, Mr. Kent. Can I rebook your flight?
I'm in. Xerox Customer Care Services, soon to be Conduent.
Mr. Kent?
Shark diving.
Xerox personalized employee portals help companies make benefits simple and accessible from anywhere.
Hula dancing. Cliff jumping.
Xerox Human Resource Services, soon to be Conduent.
Some trophy room here in Austin. You see the Heisman belonging to Ricky Williams, and we take a look at the Nissan Heisman watch. Spencer, who do you have this week?
Well, Lamar had really changed from that #1 spot. He was sacked 11 times in their defeat. But again, I think Jalen Hurts is the guy that I'm really looking for, mainly because, #1, Alabama's in that unique position as a freshman to go wire to wire and win a national title. They've got the Iron Bowl against Auburn. Anything can happen in that matchup, but watch Jalen Hurts, #2. In my opinion, I think he's among the freshman quarterbacks, along with Shane, who had a great day today. He's one of the elite in the nation.
I think Deontay Foreman is certainly deserving of an invite.
No question.
For the kind of year he's had. Travaris Johnson remains in the backfield on this drive. 5 carries for 66 yards from running backs and a quarterback stumble for -2. That's been the drive.
Yep.
Between Darius Anderson and Travaris Johnson. 184 yards on the ground this half. And look at that. Walsh is wide open. Boy, they set that one up beautifully, didn't they? Grind it, grind it, grind it. And then they've got Boyd isolated against Walsh, and Daniel reels it in, a 28-yard gain, and they're looking to send people to the exits with this drive. And everyone is standing up.
Absolutely.
Every Texas fan is on their feet, and I think, Spencer, in disbelief.
Well, and tiptoes of anticipation of what will be. And again, that shows you how engaged they are.
Johnson on the stretch play wide, and it is there, and it is touchdown.
Joseph Noteboom again reaching here on the outside. That's how you set the corner and the edge. Even though there may have been a little late hold there at the end, he does just enough to shut that down. And that was Bryce Cottrell on the other side trying to reach and get outside leverage, but nothing doing. Noteboom lowering the boom on that.
4th rushing touchdown for Johnson. Look at the after effects for these Texas faithful. I think everyone anticipated a charged, emotionally charged performance, but again, anxiety from an offense that has not been playing well of late. Set up after run, run, run. They go play action, single coverage, and then Johnson with the proverbial cherry on top.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's T-shirt cannon time.
What are you doing? I'm launching the Fox Sports Go app.
Watch all your favorite sports live on the go. The NFL, college football, local NBA and NHL games, even garbage time with Katie Nolan. All included with your TV subscription. Download the Fox Sports Go app today.
That went well.
24-9 our score. TCU trying to put this one away. And our FS1 college football coverage sponsored by Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry. Now the fans, as we mentioned in that last drive, were standing.
They're still standing.
And a lot of them, most of them are still standing. All right, all right, all right is still standing. They're not giving up, but I tell you, I think that they were in disbelief of that last drive. That's going to be out of bounds, so a flag, which will give them a healthy chunk of yardage and better field position.
Free kick out of bounds. Ball be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
Let's get a game break now from Greg Wolf in Los Angeles.
All right, let's check back on the Apple Cup. UW starting to pull away. Lavon Coleman fights his way in for the touchdown. A 10-play, 98-yard drive. And the Huskies, it looks like they're on their way to booking a trip to Levi Stadium for the Pac-12 championship next Friday. That will be on Fox. They lead at 42-17. Tim, Spencer, back to you.
All right, thank you, Greg. The ball now at the 35-yard line for Texas. Question will be who's on the opposite side in Santa Clara for Washington. Maybe Colorado or USC. There's that out pattern that's been dangerous, as you mentioned, Spencer, the one that they've been comfortable throwing. Warwick, the intended receiver, well defended again.
Well, TCU is sitting on that route. Again, remember, think about how far that ball has to travel. And if I'm a cornerback in man coverage and I peek inside at the quarterback, that's a lot of water to cover, and I can close on that ball.
Isahaku is right there with him. Michelle, again under pressure, just dumps it.
Tim, the story of this game, it's a game of halves in terms of adjustments. TCU now is 189 yards rushing in this half. Just had 22 in that first half. I mean, that kind of contrast tells you that they made their adjustments and figured out how to shut down Texas and alternately find a run game for themselves.
Foreman the lone setback, but again 3rd down and 10. And Buechele has just not been accurate and has been, as I've mentioned time and time again this afternoon, a little tentative. 11 of 24 now.
That coverage is too ironclad. It's too tight.
And predictable. This offense has been incredibly predictable, especially in the second half.
Well, that's the youth at quarterback. Again, if he has more mastery of what Justin Gilbert wants to do offensively, he can get out of those plays. But I think the maturation process is just going to take a little bit while from here. He's just counting numbers right now, Tim. He's not diagnosing defense.
Sterling Gilbert, I know, is such a fan of this young man, wants desperately to have a second year with him. But as we creep closer to the conclusion of this game, the grim reality of the fate of this staff is becoming much more the focus as Desmond White takes that punt. And a fair catch called for after a 51-yard boot. 24-9 our score, and at this stage Charlie Strong's defense needs a really quick stop.
They really do. They've got one turnover tonight via the interception, but the one guy responsible for it is out of the lineup right now.
Well, tomorrow a full slate of college football on Fox and FS1. First on FS1, Kansas takes on K-State at 11 Eastern. Then at 3:30 Eastern, it's 18th ranked West Virginia and Iowa State. On Fox, a big one in the Pac-12 South. We mentioned how big it is for Colorado. 22nd ranked Utah taking on the Buffaloes at 7 Eastern, and it's all on Fox Sports Go and live on Fox as well. Spencer was talking a little bit about that a moment ago. On 1st and 10. Johnson again. Boy, just look at him bounce off tackler after tackler. There's no denying who's got the energy right now.
Yeah, it's almost like they've switched uniforms, and now TCU has become Texas's running game, particularly with the physical style of running play. And remember, your top rusher is not in the game.
These young kids are really coming of age. Darius Anderson and Travoris Johnson. We haven't even seen Alalua back there, who's missed a couple of games.
He's the biggest of them all.
Yeah, he is. 2nd down and 3. It's an impressive performance by Gary Patterson's team. Sawyer decides to call his own number. Gets it out to the 30-yard line. Maybe just shy of that at the 29. Dylan Haynes, I beg your pardon, made the stop. Let's go down to Bruce.
Tim, I walked the length of the UT sideline, and there's a lot of guys with their heads down, and they're shaking their heads. There's no energy here. It seems like a grim reality is starting to sink in for these guys at this point.
Yeah, no question. As it is for this fan base, which, even though it's not a sellout, the loyalists are here, and they have not hit the gates. I mean, they are hanging on. 1st and 10. Anderson. Wow, look at that. Turn out the lights. I think Dandy Don said the party's over. 70 yards and a touchdown.
Well, Mr. Anderson, you can see the speed, the vision to stretch that play as long as he possibly could. And he puts that entire secondary in his hip pocket, and there's nothing but speed and opportunity as he heads toward the end zone. Superman, yes, he was on that play.
Hey, 3 rushes for 103 yards. That would be a career high for one Darius Anderson. Hatfield for the extra point. Not sure any of us expected this. But I tell you what, Gary Patterson coached him up. He had a short week, knowing the circumstances that he faced. Charlie, like the fans and his team, in disbelief.
A Pac-12 championship on the line. It is the game of the year in this conference. What an athlete! This could not have been scripted any better. College football on Fox.
31-9, TCU whipping Texas. And when we say that, we mean it. And look at the numbers that we submit for your approval. in terms of rushing. Anderson, that's a career high, as we mentioned a moment ago. The cumulative numbers in terms of offense in this half is just incredible. Without him, he doesn't even have the shells on now. He's taking the pads off, and business as usual for their ground game. And the total yards, Spencer, from half to half,
it's telling, isn't it?
It's telling. And it does go back to, as you said, adjustments made at the break. Bunch with the kick and Warwick with the return. Out to the 23-yard line, and quickly another game break. Back to Los Angeles we go. And with that, Greg Wolf.
All right, let's check in at AT&T Stadium. Baylor and Texas Tech both trying to end late season losing streaks. The nation's leading passer, Patrick Mahomes, to Dylan Cantrell. 40-yard touchdown strike. Tech threatening again. They lead 13-7 right now, first quarter. Tim Spencer, back to you.
Well, something's got to give with those two programs in that matchup, no doubt about it. For Baylor, just to get the bad taste out of their mouth matters. And Texas Tech looking for anything to go well with their much maligned defense. Deontay Foreman gets it out to the 26-yard line. James McFarland making the stop.
And Tim, to put a bow on your comment a minute ago about the contrast in productivity, in the first half, 102 yards for TCU total yards versus 373 in the second half. And again, there's no more descriptive way to paint the picture of a outcoached unit in the second half for Texas.
Buechele again under a lot of pressure. Lets it fly incomplete. Leonard, the intended receiver. The thing that I've noticed, Spence, is a great job in the TCU perimeter.
Yeah.
Guys like Tejada, even without Julius Lewis, who was injured. Gladney, the freshman's played well. Vernon Scott, Johnson, Nico Smalls played big. These guys have not allowed the Texas wide receiving corps to get any separation. I mean, there's not been a lot out there for Buechele to find, even when he had the opportunity. And there have been times when I feel he's rushed it a bit as well.
Well, you can look at the coverage, how loose it is right here. Now they don't have to. They're not threatened. But earlier in the game, when the game was tighter, those back half bodies you talked about were in the face of these receivers, contesting them at the line of scrimmage. And again, the young quarterback was making some ill-advised throws, I think, and I think it was just a function of where he is in the development of Sterling Gilbert's system.
Jake Oliver with that catch gets it out to the 40-yard line, a 15-yard gain. On first down, again, pressure off the edge. And Buechele just throws it away. Had to heave it.
Yep.
That was McFarland again in hot pursuit, number 40. That kid has been all over the place, the senior from West Monroe, Louisiana. Well, the theme of this game coming in, the future of Charlie Strong and the kind of emotion that we see on senior day, the reaction of this team earlier in the week after the reports prior to the Kansas game brought a lot of drama into the pregame for this matchup. And there you see on that slant, nothing doing. Pass was thrown a bit low, intended for the former quarterback Gerard Hurd.
Well, Timmy, you know as well as I do, it's really about converting all of that emotion, drama. We saw them at practice. They looked so calm and relaxed, playing a nice game of buckets outside before the practice actually started, just to kind of give you a sense of how loose they were, but they've not been able to convert that to that type of play on the field. And
well, I sense anxiety, particularly from the quarterback. I think the carryover from a disastrous performance against Kansas for Buechele, he's not been able to get rid of it. Markers down as he throws it deep, and it is caught by Warwick inside the 10. But we've got a flag back at the 35, and it was right behind
they'll bring
Buechele.
that back.
I would suspect we're going to get a holding call here.
And again, it just goes to show you, and I'm looking at the anatomy of Buechele in this playmaking ability. Unable to keep his eyes downfield.
Holding. Offense, number 55. 10-yard penalty, third down.
Now, granted, he has nothing to do with the holding play, but if he keeps his eyes downfield, maybe that ball comes out faster. Again, you can see, it's likely coming from the outside here at 94. You can see there's a double team there, but they're holding him. Connor Williams at that left tackle position out there, and Vahe and company.
The one thing that has beset this team through much of the season has been the inability to get the same 5 on the field simultaneously. It's only the 3rd time this season that they've had this 5 in their lineup, and
which is
actually
amazing.
Shackelford, their center, was unable to go again in today's game. Buechele on the curl, gets it ahead to the 45-yard line to Oliver again.
Yeah, and it's amazing with that lack of continuity. You're able to produce the nation's leading rusher, which is one of the anomalies and the part that makes this whole narrative so difficult to swallow.
When you're running downhill, they've been okay. You're right. 4th down and 6.
I mean, what we're witnessing right here, getting the play from the sideline, is really telling about where they are in the development. They should be snapping that ball out of there every single play, but they're just not there yet. No. The maturity level's not there.
12 straight drives for Texas, under 2 minutes and 45 seconds. They've not been able to keep their defense off the field.
Well, again, it's just about, number one, finishing plays. Now the balls are going through the hands of the receivers. The engagement level starts to go down a little bit. The focus is not there. The young quarterback exposed a little bit today, and Texas is paying for it.
And he's going to be great.
Yep.
Listen, this kid's got an outstanding future. You've no doubt heard about, his dad that played for the Rangers, coaches now with the Rangers. Tremendous pedigree and an outstanding future. But boy, oh boy, the pains of growth and evolution after that big victory against Notre Dame. And then again, who would have thought that Notre Dame's season would have gone in the direction it did in the aftermath of that win to start the season. There's Johnson again ahead for a couple of yards. Jason Hall makes the stop. I want to turn the attention to the future here now for Texas. They have stated that there's been no contact to this point. We heard certainly and witnessed with our own eyes and ears what I felt was open leveraging from agents of Herman through the media in social networking last night during the LSU game. No sooner than Ed Orgeron got on the field.
Yep.
What do you anticipate in the next 24 to 48 hours with regard to Texas being in the Herman loop, given what happened to him today in Memphis?
After this play, I'll give you what I believe has to be learned. Every engagement leaves bibliography and footnotes. And if you remember just a few short years ago, before Charlie was hired, this happened with Nick Saban. Charlie obviously wasn't their first choice. When you go out and announce the fact or allow it to be let that you are engaged with an elite coach, you better make sure that thing is wrapped up before you start expressing to the general public where you stand with that given coach. I don't know if there's anybody out there right now that would jump all over the opportunity. I know that it's Texas, but when you have folks on the outside that's able to impact the performance of a coach that's not part of the administration, that's scary from even some of the best coaches that are out there.
3rd down and 14. And we've got marker. Do we have a timeout? Yes, we did get a timeout.
TCU takes its first time out of the half. 30 seconds.
And we'll take a break with them. And when we come back, get Bruce's thoughts as well. The coaching carousel in college football.
You guys mind if I shower on that leaky urinal again?
This one's a doozy.
The all-new season of Sunny premieres January, only on FXX.
31-9 our score, 3:53 remaining. TCU, by the way, will become bowl eligible with this victory today, as you see Travoris Johnson ahead for a healthy pickup to the 40 of Texas. Bruce, your thoughts on what we're discussing here?
Yeah, Tim, as we talked about earlier today, I have heard LSU's wish list right now is Tom Herman 1, Ed Orgeron 2. But now, first of all, LSU and Tom Herman, I've heard, are set to meet tomorrow. We'll see now what happens with Texas. Tom was a graduate assistant here under Mac Brown. He spent most of his coaching career in the state of Texas. My gut would say he would really like this job, maybe more so than LSU, but we'll see how this unfolds. We got a lot of politics involved in both the LSU job and certainly in this Texas job.
Well, certainly knowing both states as well as I do, there's no denying that. Well, and controlling one's destiny. Coaches make millions of dollars, and if you don't produce, you're going to be gone. He knows that. Charlie Strong knows that as well as any. But again, last night it got to such a point where Joe Oliva, the athletic director, had to write yet another statement for his fan base after we saw dueling tweets coming from the media, which no doubt came from leaks within the Board of Regents at LSU. Absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's a 32-yard boot. Warwick brings it in at the 10-yard line. Earlier this week, on Monday, when the players thought it was already over after the tweets, these guys thought it was over. Boyette was crying, and it was almost as if, hey, we didn't even know if we'd get this game. Poona Ford sent out a tweet, and it tells you all you need to know, that it's not just about winning football games. It may be for the fans, it may be for the alumni, influential board members, and certainly for those in this world that we live in that's so polarized, it's easy to say what they don't like and to be jealous and envious of those who actually enjoy themselves, to take some joy out of someone else's failure. That happens. We get that. But you still have to understand that college football in and of itself is about that right there, the emotions. And I think Hager Brecken there, I think, illustrates all that you need to know about how much it means. And yeah, they know they failed, but it hurts in a manner that should be at least respected as collegial, not professional.
Well, I think to a larger degree than any other place I've been this year, these players have bonded with Charlie Strong at almost a fraternal level, a father-like figure for many of them on both sides of the football, and it really speaks to leadership. And all leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Charlie will rebound and bounce back and be coached in some place, but I think anyone in an administrative capacity or a booster capacity that fails to understand and appreciate the impact that a head coach, particularly for the bulk of the kids that are on this team, has beyond the field, you better think twice about it before you start losing and creating a context where it's difficult for a guy to effectively coach.
Tejada breaking up that pass for Dorian Leonard. 13 of 34 now for Buechele. I'm thinking about Joe Oliva, if he does have that meeting with and clearly if Bruce Feldman is telling me it's going to happen. There had been reports that a meeting had already taken place. That's now been debunked. But coming off the losses that they've had, and I know he had some injuries when he lost to Navy and SMU,
right?
But losing today to Memphis the way that they did, I don't know how that press conference is going to go over if you're trying to win the press conference when your new head coach is coming off a loss to Memphis.
Well, it certainly helps your negotiating position if you're that institution. It certainly doesn't strengthen it if you're the coach. I mean,
we can show that with the loss tonight, where this puts Charlie Strong. And listen, it's a horrible record for a 3-year period, but we can go back to that first year when 9 guys were run off. You knew in his mind there was a cultural change that needed to take place. Now some would argue the validity of that or what you get out of that, but if you're going to do it his way, and that's what Charlie had in mind, and you were going to suffer some losses in terms of personnel at the beginning.
You got 28 scholarship players per class, and you cut essentially a third of that class. And to be able to get those elite players back, it's going to take you a while to do it. And granted, he didn't get it done. But the context in which he came in with duress from key boosters whose names adorns the perimeter of this building, well, that's pretty tough.
Here's why I think Herman, for Texas, what Bruce was saying makes a lot of sense. Look at that. That's what we call the cake being baked. A lot of young guys, all really good. Now, what the institution has to do of making the change is make sure that they know that Tom Herman is all in, and that this is a guy that you're really going to love and want to play for.
Well, he is that. Believe me, no one, I think there are very few coaches. First of all, he's learned from some of the great coaches out there. Urban Meyer, who has a master's degree in psychology. He knows the game inside and out.
He was a Broyles winner under
Absolutely.
Meyer. Best assistant coach in the country, that award given out after they won the national championship. Lawrence Johnson gets out there with it.
The way that Tom Herman managed that team in Houston was absolutely brilliant. After they beat Florida State, they were not really running well with a full cup of success, and he had them all match up and line up in these jerseys with the question mark on it that they all look like Frank Gorshin running around there for the Riddler from Batman. And what he was trying to do was manipulate them in a positive way to understand you've not done anything yet. And it takes a coach that understands the millennial cohort the way that he does to coach effectively. He's one of the best in the business.
Johnson. So they head almost to midfield. He'll be close to the first down. I say this because, and obviously we're speculating now, but that's what you're in the position of having to do in these circumstances. For the knowledge I have of the way things operate at both Texas and at LSU, the easier sell of Herman for me would be to Texas rather than LSU.
I mean, proximity, it matters. He knows the landscape. He's got a strong foothold and knowledge of the Houston area, and the dejection is obviously palpable. You can see it in the face of these players again, and the fans as well, reflecting the disappointment. Opportunity lost here today to maybe stave off and extend to a year 4 for Charlie Strong. Charlie Strong, as for now, doesn't appear to be in that situation.
By the way, we have a lot of fun with our crew and covering college football at FS1. I'm concluding my 3rd year of college football after we have Bedlam next year. Spencer's been with us for the last 2. And we'd really like to thank the guys behind the scenes that make us look so good so often when we don't deserve it. Technical producer is Bill Moore. Make sure that our facilities are always good, solid. If there are any questions that we need answered, security and the like, he's got them. Our technical director, Zach Jensen. Our camera operators are outstanding. Chris Bancroft, Zach Horgan, Greg Noyes. Eric Faulkner and Matt Weber are in tape. John Otis handles our audio. Our engineers, Bill Bacchus, Jason Taylor, Avery Munt. Our B unit, Brian Heath, Mark Winter, and Jason Duppel. Our many thanks to you fellas for all that you do all year long, and especially through the holidays and time spent away from your families. Warwick takes in that punt, steps out of bounds shy of the 20. I mentioned John Otis on audio, who's just been outstanding for us through the course of the season.
I think you did mention our guy Justin Tolbert, didn't you mention
Yes,
Justin?
I did. Our broadcast associate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going there.
Yeah, my man.
Producer of our games, Eric Billigmeyer. And we want to send out our concerns and prayers for our friend Mike Helling, who's trying to convalesce after having some health issues. Mike, our thoughts and prayers are with you and Carla and everyone back home, and we certainly hope to see you back in the truck soon, whether it's baseball, golf, or football. Bouchel with his pass on the quick curl caught by Ja'Cory Warwick. Eric Billigmeyer is our first year to work with him, and just a magnificent job as the leader of our group. And the director, Doug Freeman, a magnificent veteran out in the Los Angeles area, has been with us all 3 years that I've been a part of the FS1 and Fox Sports family. Brian Biederman is our associate director, and our broadcast associate, the aforementioned Justin Tolbert. King of swag, by the way.
Yes, he is.
King of swag.
My man.
Brian Colucci, our computer statistician.
Colucci.
Nice catch there by Colin Johnson. He gets up to midfield and is out with 20 ticks left. And I cannot say enough for the job in the booth done by Scott Alexander. Really, I'm my information consultant, more than a statistician. He gives you information you need when at the appropriate time.
And Brett's, of course, a master of many and a failure of few.
Our spotter extraordinaire, Brett Bender. Son of Gary, and he doesn't mind me saying that. One of the great broadcasters of our generation, Gary Bender. So our many thanks to them, and our, as I mentioned, our technical team being led by Bill Moore Jr.
That look says it all right there, man. I tell you.
It does. I don't think that anyone anticipated this. That's why they play the game, and give a lot of credit to Gary Patterson today. His job just to win this game and to get his team bowl eligible was as tough as I think any for a road team in college football. Bouchel throws up a prayer in the end zone, and it looks to be intercepted. It was by Nico Small. And with that, the game comes to an end. Mercifully for these Texas fans, and for Gary Patterson, his team will go bowling with young personnel that he really wants the extra practice time for, and he has K-State next week, and that's an understandable showing of emotion from him towards Charlie.
Well, as Charlie walks off, Coach Patterson, the winning coach, leverages the one thing that he needed to get bowl eligible. He said that he was embarrassed by what happened last week, and he challenged his team, and they responded. Unfortunately, alternately, the Texas Longhorns could not.
So what do you suspect with regard to this position? If I asked you, tell me now, who do you think will be the head coach at Texas next year? What would be your answer?
I would say right now it would be Tom Herman. I mean, that's what I would say. The timeline on that doesn't need to wait. It has as much to do with the negotiation process, not so much Charlie. I think now that decision has been made.
With the understanding that a meeting with LSU is going to take place, as reported by our Bruce Feldman, Texas has never been out of the loop, and the opportunities for Herman here clearly exist. It's just a question now of the conversations between the president, Greg Fenves, athletic director, Mike Perrin, what direction they choose to go in. Charlie Strong's 3-year stint is not officially over, but it certainly looks that way in the aftermath of tonight's loss. Texas Christian University comes on the road and bullies Texas